Hey there, everybody. My name is John, and this is the Pint, a pop culture podcast. Happy All Horror October. That's right. All month long, nothing but horror here and on our Pint Insider Patreon page. Go to Patreon/thepint, and you can get all kinds of extra episodes every month. So here's what we're doing this month. On October 19th of this year, Scary Larry will be showing at his Connecticut Cult Classics the Rob Zombie films, House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. So I talked to Larry and said, let's do a Devil's Rejects episode to come out that week, kind of corresponding with that, so that, you know, people that are going to be at the show can check it out, people that won't be can check it out, whatever. Last year, Larry and I did an episode for the Pint Insider on Patreon of House of a Thousand Corpses, the first movie in the Rob Zombie filmography. And I said to Larry, I said, you know what would be a good idea? I'm going to see if the Pint Insiders don't mind that I take this one episode that they all paid for and is rightfully theirs and smash it together with the Devil's Rejects episode that we're going to record and kind of have that be like a double feature. Make, one big long episode out of two different movies, two different episodes, but smashed together. And he thought it was a good idea. I put a vote up and asked the Pint Insiders, and they were very cool with it. I take it very seriously that they pay for extra content, and in my opinion, it's not something to be given out months later or anything like that. Some people do that, and that's fine. Not my gig here on the Pint. I want it to be theirs and theirs only. But on this one, I thought, because people love Larry and Connecticut Cult Classics so much, that it might be cool to do a little bit of synergy with us and their show and covering both movies from their show. So here's how this episode is going to work. It's going to start with the House of a Thousand Corpses episode, which is from November of last year. I think we recorded it in October of last year. When that episode ends, you're going to hear a Rob Zombie musical clip that's going to denote like a palate cleanser to get you ready. And then you're going to hear the line of dialogue from Devil's Rejects that we normally put at the front of any episode, the little spur of dialogue there. So, and then it's going to go right into the new episode, The Devil's Rejects. So this is your first ever really, I guess, double feature Pint episode. So just wanted to explain that, and let's kick it off with House of 1,000 Corpses. Right here, right now. Don't forget, when this episode's done, there's another one right after it. Oh, and what I will do as well is if you're a Pint Insider and you don't want to re-listen to the House of a Thousand Corpses episode, in the show description, I will put down the time signature for when the Devil's Reject starts, so you can just skip right to it if that's what you want to do. Okay? See ya. You came for the pint, but you ended up in Scary Larry's House of Horrors. Wrong turn, bitches.
The psycho Plainsfield, Mr. Ed Gein. Murderer, cannibal, Mr. Gein used to take great pleasure in playing with the dead bodies of women. Especially the sexual organs.
I am going to start with that fucking belch, for sure. Well, that was Scary Larry. I'm John. He just threw up all over his microphone.
Mom's spaghetti.
And this is a spooky season special brought to you by Scary Larry's House of Horrors. Now, last year around this time, we did, with our good buddy, beautiful Bob Howard, we did The House of the Devil.
Is that a year ago?
That was a year ago. Yeah.
God, he's been involved with us for a year?
Oh, yeah. And
my fault.
With his history of what you told me about him, I'm surprised I kept him around. Bob, you know what I'm talking about.
He knows. Oh, he knows.
So House of Horrors is moving to a different house tonight. We're going to be talking about And I'm going to ask you, Larry, how I'm supposed to say this because I was thinking about it earlier. House of 1,000 Corpses or 1,000 Corpses? What do you think? I always hear people say House of 1,000 Corpses.
Yeah.
But it's spelled, the title is House of 1000 Corpses, which to me reads as 1,000 Corpses.
Huh. Never thought about it.
And also, there are certainly not 1,000 corpses in that house. There's maybe like 13, 14.
Yeah. I mean, there might have been 1,000 corpses underground.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. House of 1,000 Corpses.
House of 1,000 Corpses, if you please.
Absolutely. You guys pick. We'll put it up as a vote on the Patreon. What do you think this movie is called?
Do you want me to get naked and start the revolution?
Released on April 11th of 2003, written and directed by Rob Zombie. You might know Rob Zombie from his band White Zombie, from the remakes Halloween 1 and 2, the recent Netflix blockbuster The Munsters.
Or you might know him from decorating the set of Headbangers Ball in back of Ricky Rackman live on Headbangers Ball one episode.
Oh, really? He also...
No. Well, there was one old... I just remember watching a Headbangers Ball, and Rob Zombie, it was early in the White Zombie days, was just behind him painting like day-glow skulls like on fucking black walls in back of him. Like,
now, you said Dago skulls, and that would be much different.
Yeah, that would be like Italian skulls with mustaches,
it would
like
be pictures,
Mario hats.
It would be pictures of Chef Boyardee on the walls of the Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
He also, I did not know this. I haven't seen this movie in forever either, but he also designed, I guess, one of the scenes in Beavis and Butthead Do America. The scene, I guess, where they're tripping. He actually, it was based on his art. So Mike Judge I don't know if he hired him or saw something he did, but he was also involved in that, which I never knew before.
Me either.
Now, Larry, I got a question for you. Being a metal guy, being a horror guy, because he's divisive. What is your general opinion of Rob Zombie overall? I'm not just talking about movies. I'm talking about everything.
Okay. First, a little story. I met Rob Zombie a long, long time ago. So White Zombie opened up for Slayer at Toad's Place in New Haven, 1990, maybe? It was Slayer's Seasons of the Abyss tour before Seasons of the Abyss came out, or right after it came out, whatever. But White Zombie was a completely unknown band. And if you're a Slayer fan from back then, you know that opening up for Slayer is no easy task, because not up to snuff, you're getting booed off the stage. Slayer fans want to see fucking Slayer, and that's really about it. And they did not get booed off the stage. People, even though the music is a lot different than Slayer, right? It's very groove, a lot of groove. It's different, but they got people's respect that night. Nobody was fucking put off. And side note, that was the show where Rob met Sherry for the first time.
Oh, right, because she's a Connecticut native, right? Yeah,
she's a Connecticut girl.
Plainville, I think.
So fast forward a few months, and I'm at Fangoria's Weekend of Horrors convention in New York City. And at a Fangoria's Weekend of Horrors back then, you could see any number of people as attendees. You'd regularly see Johnny Ramone walking around, number of horror fans, and I see Rob Zombie, who I only know because I had just seen him open up for Slayer. And once you see Rob Zombie, you know who he is, right?
Right.
Because he still had the dreadlocks back then, walking around with bell bottoms and like a green and black striped shirt or whatever. I chatted him up. I was like, "Hey, I recognize you. I just saw you open up for Slayer." And he was talking about what a huge Slayer fan he was and what an honor it was. Then we started chatting about horror and the Munsters and all sorts of shit. Literally talked to the guy for like a half hour. Super, super cool guy. Again, wasn't popular yet at all. So whether that changed over the years, I don't know. I hope not. I do know he kicked some skateboarders out of his neighborhood.
Get off of my 17,000 acre lawn.
Yeah. Rumor has it that was misconstrued as well, that it wasn't him. Somebody had said it wasn't him that complained. It was people watching the house who had complained. Whatever. I don't know. What I can say is my personal one time ever meeting him, the dude was really, really fucking cool. And like most of the other Slayer fans there, I was like, okay, this band is different. They're good. They're pretty rocking. And I actually picked up the first record because of that show and enjoyed it, because it was Well, it wasn't really, I was more Slayer, Sepultura, Motorhead, that type of thing at that time. This was also, you could tell, wildly horror influenced. So I
Oh
was,
yeah.
yeah, so I was kind of on board. I think it was, that may be the last thing I ever bought from them or from Rob. I certainly didn't follow the career along. However, everything I've heard on the radio, I've enjoyed. Even his later Rob Zombie stuff. It's just not really my cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. I never hated the music. I think it's good for what it is, and he seems like he's still a cool guy. Other than that skateboarding incident, which I don't know if it was really his fault. Everything, the dude's a horror fan and supports horror and puts out music that a lot of people like, and I can back it.
Yeah, I've kind of always said about him from a little bit more of a distance, because I'm not a fan of the music necessarily, and I have seen most of the movies, is when I see interviews with him, he seems like the kind of guy I would want to talk to and hang out with.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
He seems down to earth, and he was back then. He really was back then. But again, he wasn't popular back then, but he still seems that way. Just like you just said, when I still see interviews with him and when I hear him on, a talk show, maybe he hasn't been on the Stern Show in a long time, but he used to be on all the time. He just seemed like a normal guy.
I'm not I don't dislike Joe Rogan, but I'm not a fan, but he did, he did a segment on that, and I watched that, and they were discussing a lot of like the films he made and music. And then, I just happened to see, cause I watched that, he was on, I think Howie Mandel has like a podcast, everybody has like a podcast.
Everybody has a fucking podcast.
Right.
John Amenta has a fucking podcast.
This fucking clown.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the hardships he had with making Halloween. And all that. So he's always been an interesting guy to me. And I remember way back in the day when he was on MTV Cribs, I remember thinking,
that. Wow.
This guy's house is fucking unreal, right? Like,
that was the Connecticut house too, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That was like what, Weston, Connecticut or something?
Oh, no, either Prospect or in that area.
Okay.
Yeah. He lived somewhere not too far from where we are. But yeah, I think on Route 70 somewhere. So here's some interesting factoids about House of, we're going to call it 1,000 Corpses. In 1999, Rob Zombie designed a haunted maze attraction for Universal. And during this, one of the executives just asked him if he had a pitch for a movie. And he claims he just made it up on the spot and told them, this is the idea. Now,
do you think he had just watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre that morning?
Fucking A, dude, you stole my joke, you cocksucker.
I'm sorry, my fault.
Yeah. So what I was going to say was he basically took the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then just like changed like some of the names and figured out new actors. So he pitched that and they said, here's some money, go ahead and make this thing. So then Universal balked at releasing the film because it was going to get hit with an NC-17 rating because it was over the top gory and, all that stuff, violent.
Sure.
So Universal balks at it. He's made it. It's sitting there. Eventually, after a while, he gets the rights back. He makes a deal with them, gets the rights back, and then he makes a deal with MGM. And MGM is going to release this film. MGM does not release the film because Rob Zombie, in an interview, this is what he said. He says that they're irresponsible and nuts to release this movie, which is clearly him hyping up the movie, like trying to make it, like this movie's so hardcore. But they dropped the movie because of that. Like, apparently they got pissed at him. Maybe there was more behind that. So the movie gets dropped again. Then he shops it out to Lionsgate. Lionsgate takes over, but they forced an edit to get it to an R rating because Lionsgate apparently was not in the horror game at that point for the most part and thought this was a good opportunity to get into it. It was, because it was a $16 million gross on a $7 million budget. And Lionsgate ends up, through the years, the Saw franchise, Hostel, The Eye, several horror films kind of came, if you think about Saw right off the bat, that's like 36 movies that all made money. So, meanwhile, Universal, still used his haunted attraction, but they changed the name from House of 1,000 Corpses to American Nightmare so that it wasn't, connected to the movie per se. And he says it's funny because years later, like 10 or 12 years later, Universal put the attraction out again under House of a Thousand Corpses' name because they worked out some kind of deal. And he's like, it's so fucking ridiculous that you fired me for this movie. And now, you're making an attraction out of it. It was filmed between May and August of 2000. Now, I said it came out on April 11th, 2003. That factors into all of this. That movie just sat for fucking years because it just, kept on moving hands and getting cut. It was filmed in Santa Clarita, California, Saugus, California, and the greatest backlot name I've ever seen before, Universal Studios in Universal City, California, the Chicken Ranch Backlot. And apparently the House of a Thousand Corpses was on the studio tour, and he said they had to continuously stop because the tour trams would come through. Even when they were filming, they just kept the tour going. So that had to be kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
And another little factoid I think is interesting is that, he was given his money to make the movie. He made the movie. And after it got dropped by Universal, before it got re-edited, all of the little scenes, like the interstitial scenes you see in the movie, where it's like, like maniacal shit happening in the house and, Bill Moseley doing his little, where it looks all grainy. It's all filmed on a 16 millimeter camera in his actual house at the time, on his own time, on his own budget. A bunch of cuts throughout the whole thing that kind of like tie everything
videos,
together.
Basically.
It's essentially a music video. Yeah. Right. And that was all done by Rob Zombie on his own. All right, let's talk about the cast.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
So, interesting factoid about the cast of this thing, and I didn't put it together, but I read it and then paid attention to it. This cast of this movie, which is 23 years old, 20 years old anniversary-wise. So this is on its 20th anniversary of release. As a matter of fact, I think they just showed this in theaters, like, over this weekend. Like, Fathom Events, I think, did a thing for it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it's essentially filmed 23 years ago. So many of the people in this movie are fucking dead. This movie, the actors in this movie are like 80s wrestlers. So we got Sid Haig, who plays Captain Spaulding, passed away a few years ago. Mm-hmm. You might know him from stuff such as Coffee, and he was the judge in Jackie Brown. Also, I didn't realize this, he had a small role in the George Lucas film THX 1138. Mm-hmm. Captain Spaulding is essentially a purveyor of horror fun. He has a little roadside attraction, gasoline and fried chicken, which is again heavily influenced by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Karen Black also passed away. Plays Mother Firefly. Mm-hmm. She was in the Tobe Hooper Invaders from Mars. Burnt Offerings, which is a movie that Lloyd talks about all the fucking time that we got to eventually do here. And Airport 1975. She did not come back for The Devil's Rejects. She was replaced by Leslie Easterbrook in that film, of Police Academy fame. Right. One of my greatest memories of Police Academy 1 was wishing that she had me pinned to the ground between her thighs as like a 9 or 10-year-old boy going, I don't know why, but I feel funny looking at this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget to say Karen Black. For me, it's Trilogy of Terror. That's...
Yeah, I've never seen that. We've talked about doing that. Yeah, I know. That's with the little doll, right?
Yep. It's top 3 best anthology movies of all time. It's fucking fantastic.
All right, we'll do it here on the House of Horrors. Bill Moseley, a Connecticut native, by the way, recently at Connecticut Horror Fest. Seems like a super cool guy. I follow him on Instagram. He seems so cool. He plays Otis Firefly. You probably know him best from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. He was in a film I watched recently on Shudder called Boar, about a giant carnivorous boar in Australia. And he was in The Blob, the 1988 The Blob. He's one of the hazmat guys at the end.
Yep. And Johnny in the Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead remake.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of people forget that because he looks so different with the suit and glasses and slicked hair. And
yeah. Well, yeah, because here's a guy that his biggest roles are under heavy makeup and wigs and a metal fucking plate that he's eating off of, with a hot fucking coat hanger. In the role of Baby Firefly, it is the aforementioned Sherry Moon Zombie, Rob Zombie's wife. If you want to know what you've ever seen her in, all the Rob Zombie movies. He doesn't give anybody else a fucking chance.
Well, she's been in one other one.
What else was she in?
She was in that Toby Hooper movie. Come on. Fuck it. Toolbox Murder remake.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's the only non-Rob Zombie movie that she's ever been in. She didn't even want to do it. But Rob was friends with Toby Hooper and convinced her to do it, so she did it.
Jeez. Walton Goggins, one of my favorite actors. A young version of Walton Goggins, by the way, but his teeth are still white as fuck. Plays Steve Nash.
I fucking hate that guy.
You don't like him?
I think it's because every movie I see him in, I'm supposed to fucking hate him.
Yeah.
And he does a good job at it. He really does. He really, right off the top of my head, the only two I can think of are this one and Hateful Eight. And both of them, he's just such a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he's in Predators, the one with Adrian Brody, and he's a fucking asshole
Never
in
saw
that too.
One. Never saw that.
Steve Nash, he's a cop. You know him from as everything we just said. But also The Shield and Justified, good television shows. Rainn Wilson plays Bill Hudley. You know him as Dwight K. Schrute on The Office.
You know him as Rainn Wilson.
Yeah, he is Rainn Wilson, essentially. He was in The Meg, and he was also in, there was a movie called The Rocker. Remember The Rocker? It's not good. It was a comedy. No. Yeah, it was right around the time of The Office.
I do. I do. He was like somebody's dad, and he joined a fucking metal band or something.
Yeah, he was like an adult metal fan or something, and he was like, in Arrested
band with like
Development.
Kids.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All those guys, by the way, from Sherry Moon Zombie or Bill Moseley down, they're all alive. Tom Towles plays Deputy George Wydell. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, a movie I've still never seen because I'm afraid to watch it.
Dude, he as Otis is just brutal.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever want to watch that. I've just heard
it's a brutal movie. It's a brutal movie. You want to talk about bad decisions? I watched that like with my parents when I was like fucking 14 or 13 or something. And there's like a spoiler alert. There's a scene where they break into a family's house and they tie up like the little kids and they're raping the mom in front of the little kids. And it's just like, and here I am watching this with my parents, like, this is weird.
Yeah. You didn't help me wanting to watch it any quicker. Yeah.
It's a great, I mean, fucking Towles and Michael Rooker are amazing in that movie. It's worth it just to see their performances.
I will watch it at some point. And it's also, every time I ever look at it to like gauge whether I'm going to watch it, I'm always tempted because it's like an hour and 20 minutes long. It's super short.
Yeah, that's quick.
Yeah. And that's what, I don't need that movie to be 3 hours long.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't need the family massacre rape scene to be, 25 minutes. Let's get in and out.
Even though it's only an hour 20, you still need a deep shower after that's over. You really do.
A bleach scrubbing. He was also in the Miami Vice movie and also The Rock. And also, just for any of you Devil's Rejects fans out there, his character, Deputy George Wydell, his death in this film, spoiler alert, is the impetus that sends Bill Forsyth on the hunt for the Firefly family in the second movie. And then let's see, I've got one more. So a lot of times people talk about like annoying characters in horror movies, and it always comes back to Franklin in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, I'll tell you what, Rob Zombie, in his I guess attempt to kind of trace the Chainsaw Massacre, hired Chris Hardwick to play Jerry Goldsmith, who I wanted to beat upon the body and head through the whole fucking movie.
However, that's just Chris Hardwick.
It truly is.
Like, if you've ever watched The Talking Dead, you're like, that's not a character he's playing in House of a Thousand Corpses. That's just Chris Hardwick.
Yeah. Most people know him, as Larry said. He's a talking head, essentially. He's always hosting these shows. The Talking Dead, At Midnight was a game show he had for a while, and The Nerdist was a big thing. And I don't dislike him. A few years ago, he got into a whole big thing where his ex-girlfriend claimed he was abusive, and then it turned out she wasn't, so he got canceled and uncanceled. That's all. I'm glad that he, got proven to be an okay guy, but fuck, do I want to beat him? Character just annoys I saw this movie once when it came out, like the year after it came out. I rented it.
Theater? Oh, okay.
No.
I saw it in the theater. I did.
Okay. I had not seen this in, about 17, 18 years. So I had forgotten how fucking truly annoying he was. All right. So Larry, let's get into it. Boy, there's it's Chainsaw Massacre, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Did you think the same thing I thought when you had watched this movie for the rewatch?
Mm-hmm.
The beginning scene takes place at Captain Spaulding's roadside attraction.
Yep.
And Captain Spaulding is this like very boisterous, funny clown makeup character who runs this kind of out of the way attraction that has a murder ride and again gasoline and fried chicken. But the first scene is him getting robbed by a couple of just losers, and him and his, I guess, ogre friend murdering.
Whose job apparently it is to just stand outside with a giant mask on and wave.
He just
wave to the street full of nobody.
Yeah,
because it's like a completely off the fucking beaten path place. Like it's not like it's Main Street fucking Boston.
No,
it's not Route 1. It's fucking way off the beaten path, and this poor guy's got to stand out there in a wife beater and a fucking giant, what looks like plaster mask that probably weighs 80 pounds.
Yeah,
and just wave to no one.
There's nobody passing by this place. There's nobody.
Which leads you to ask, why is anybody robbing him? Because how much money could he possibly have in the till?
Yeah,
like you know what I mean?
Were they trying to get a bucket of chicken?
I don't know.
What I wanted to ask you was did you feel like, at least this scene alone, that Rob Zombie really likes Quentin Tarantino a lot? Like, the whole robbery, the interaction between them, Michael J. Pollard talking about someone getting a Planet of the Apes figure stuck up his ass. He got Dr. Zayas stuck up his asshole.
Yeah.
Everything in this scene, in the first scene, it doesn't happen through the whole movie, felt like Rob Zombie had watched like maybe the beginning of From Dusk Till Dawn or a couple of Tarantino films and said, this is like the banter I want in this scene. That's what I felt.
It's, you know what? I never really thought about it, but now that you pointed out, it is very Tarantino-ish. Spaulding's playing like a very Marcellus Wallace type character. Like they've got a gun in his face. Dude's telling him he's going to fucking clean out his head. And he's like, fuck your mama.
Yeah.
Fuck your grandma. Like he's just not giving a shit, yeah. And then, big guy comes in to save the day.
Does he hit the guy with a hammer, like a giant mallet?
He hits him with something. He hits him with something large. Maybe it was that 85-pound mask. I don't know what the fuck it was.
Plaster mask death.
Yeah, he definitely hits him with something. And apparently it doesn't matter too much because they just clean up after and, go back. I don't know where they put the bodies. I guess it doesn't matter. Who cares? Yeah. But yeah, it is a very Tarantino-ish scene. I never really thought of that. That's a good call.
Yeah, it really felt like, and again, no problem, because Zombie had made some of his own music videos. So he had a filmmaking background, but this is his first movie.
Right.
And it just felt like if I didn't watch the rest of the movie, if I shut it off at that point, I would be like, oh, this is going to be a Tarantino thing for the rest of the film. It's not.
It's not. It ends there.
It ends there, and it officially becomes the Chainsaw Massacre from that point. So then after that happens, we get the car full of kids that we always we meet in these movies. Rainn Wilson and Chris Hardwick and their respective girlfriends.
Can you throw air quotes on kids, because Rainn Wilson and fucking Hardwick look like they're at least 30.
Yeah, Rainn Wilson does, and Hardwick, because he's wearing like a wig and he's got like a beanie on, or like
he's trying. It looks like
trying.
that meme of Buscemi, like hello, fellow kids.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you're fucking head on that one.
Yeah.
So they show up, and their whole point, what they're doing is they're writing a book about odd roadside attractions, the giant ball of yarn in fucking Des Moines, Iowa, whatever the fuck's out there. So they go in and they start talking to Captain Spaulding, who is obviously, him and his buddy have clearly just killed these people. And again, you get a little bit more of that back and forth dialogue. There's Rainn Wilson keeps on asking questions, and Captain Spaulding's like, can I ask you a fucking question? Like, why are you asking me so many goddamn stupid fucking questions? And we kind of get that, and they're looking around at all their little, like, the antiquities and that. And we learn two things from this point. Number one, he has like a little carnival murder ride that Chris Hardwick is super excited about going on. And number 2, Larry, what's the legend of Dr. Satan all about?
Oh, yeah. So there was a mental institution, because there's always a mental institution, right? And at the mental institution, there was a doctor who was known for experimenting wildly on patients, because there's always a doctor at these places that's known for experimenting wildly on patients. And he was run out and hung on the, I guess it was called the Dr. Satan tree, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
However, nobody could find the corpse. He had disappeared, and that was it. That's all they know, is that Dr. Satan was never seen or heard from again, but he could live next door to you.
Yeah. Local legend. And they go on the murder
Which
ride.
every town has one, right? Every area has their, we have melon heads here in Connecticut and Mothman in New Jersey. And
right.
I guess wherever this is in 1977, which... Let me point out that I'd completely forgotten that this was supposed to take place in 1977. I honestly forgot that. I forgot that it was a 70s film.
October 30th and Halloween. Yeah.
Right.
Because, we gotta get it on Halloween. So they take the murder ride. The murder ride is essentially just a little cart ride that goes through this track. And, we get Ed Gein, and we get,
Albert
Fish. And and then we get, Dr. Satan. We get it's all
seems like a very short murder ride, by the way.
It was like 3 people, I think. Yeah. And,
hopefully it wasn't expensive. They didn't talk about price, but I'm hoping it was no more than like 50 cents.
Well, the good news is that if it was 50 cents, he does give them a bag of fried chicken.
Right. You get free fried chicken.
Yeah. And here's your fucking fried chicken. Get out. I'm like,
which
again, fried chicken.
Which again, since nobody seems to ever go to that fucking place, how long has that fried chicken been sitting around?
Dude, so I like podcasting with you, man, because I honestly was thinking, like, nobody goes here. How many chickens is he actually making in a day? Uh-huh. And, look, if you go to, like, the grocery store and get fried chicken out of the little heater, that thing's been there a while.
Yeah,
but
a few hours.
But a few hours. Like, a while, but a few hours. Like, this is like fucking Captain Spaulding's roadside attraction. They never say the state, but I'm going to just say in Texas.
Sure. Of course.
Yeah. Because it looks like Texas. I've been to Texas. I remember it looking kind of like that. So yeah, the chicken can't be great. They go to leave, and as they're leaving, he drew them a map to the Dr. Satan tree, because they're obsessed. They want to see that for their book. As they're leaving and getting there, they don't see it. Their tire blows out, but we see a dude is he in a bear costume?
Well, first we see a hitchhiker.
Oh, I forgot about the hitchhiker.
Yeah, because again, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, at least I'll give him credit.
Yeah,
this one is. I would pick this hitchhiker up myself.
Yeah. But I mean, there's still even a parallel, other than the fact that it's a hitchhiker. So in the first one, they decide they have to pick up the hitchhiker because it's sweltering hot out and he'll asphyxiate out there, is what they said. In this one, it's pouring rain. Oh my God, she's going to drown out here. So at least Rob changed it a little bit, right, with the hitchhiker. And he did make the hitchhiker plenty more attractive in this one. Right.
But as you said, and you're right, the both hitchhikers are trying to get them back to their house.
Yes.
So they pick up Baby, who's the Sherry Moon zombie character, very attractive. And both,
if you can get past the voice, that is.
Yeah. I'm not going to say I don't want to say I think that she improved necessarily as an actress, but I think she did a bit, because she's definitely, I don't even know if she's bad in this movie or if it's just her voice and her character, but she's fucking annoying. Yeah. But the guys, especially Bill, the Rainn Wilson character, kind of has a crush on her, and his girlfriend can sense this, and his girlfriend, out of the two girlfriends, is like a shit starter.
Oh, she's like, that's not even the word. She's just a fucking asshole.
Yeah, she's
like, she really is. Like, listen, all right, you or me, okay? We're in this situation. I have friends that would fucking I'm a horror guy. I've seen too many movies to be dragged to a fucking house. Like, I've seen too many movies to even pick up the hitchhiker. Hitchhiker, hot or not, is staying there. If it's me, right? But if I get dragged into this situation, guys, we're all being nice as fucking pie. All of us. No matter what comes out, no matter what happens, no matter what they say to us, no matter what they look like, we're being nice. All right? Until it's like fucking Dalton would say, until it's time not to be nice.
Yeah.
We're going to be nice. This girl is an asshole to all of them from the fucking jump.
Yeah, and these are not people that, like, these are clearly people that are not playing with a full fucking deck.
Right.
And you're in their house, and, like, it's scary. Like, it's not Chainsaw Massacre House scary where it's, like, all, you know, chairs made out of fucking skin, and there's chicken bones everywhere. But there's desiccated, destroyed dolls stapled to the fucking siding. And stuff. Don't fuck with the people with doll parts on the outside of their fucking house, right? So they do end up losing a tire. We can see as the audience that a gentleman in a bear costume of some sort has blown out their tire. Rufus.
RJ.
Another actor, by the way, I didn't write down this actor's name.
Mukes.
And I don't know. Robert Mukes. He was not in the second one.
He messages Connecticut Horror Fest constantly. He really wants to be really wants to come to Connecticut Horror Fest, and we'll get him there one year.
Well, Robert Mukes did not make it to Devil's Rejects because that was Tyler Mane in that same role. I was reading that
I don't
today.
think I knew that.
In the very beginning of Devil's Rejects, when they're having the shootout, he gets killed, and they call him RJ. And I was like, I don't remember this dude. And I was reading it today when I was doing a little bit of research, and I don't know why, but he did not carry over to the next movie.
Strange.
They changed 2 of the Firefly actors before they got to the second film. So we end up at the house, and we start to meet, you know, because their tire's dead. Their tire's blown out, so they have to wait for their car to be fixed. And RJ is a tow truck driver, and he's going to take care of that. So we met RJ. He's a bear man.
Yeah, he's a bear man.
We met Baby. She's crazy but hot.
Yeah.
We meet Mama. Mama is the type of woman that's like was hot like 40 years ago and now just has
still thinks she is though.
Still thinks she is. She clearly probably always has lipstick on her teeth. She's that kind of woman.
Her teeth are so yellow I can't believe it's not butter. Remember that?
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And then we meet Tiny.
Who used to be the actor, I don't know if you know, was the original Bigfoot on the Howard Stern show.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, he was one of the early whack packers. For you people listening who are familiar with the Howard Stern show, he was one of the original whack packers, the original Bigfoot. He used to call in all the time, super deep voice. I think he was like 7'6" or something. He was a fucking huge guy.
Giant dude. Matthew McGorry was his real name. He died right after Devil's Rejects was made of a heart condition because, you know, I'm not being funny here, but like a body like that can't support, you know, it just can't support it. He is gigantic. He's hunched over. In the film, he wears like a kind of a Mick Foley type mask because he's been deformed.
It is a Mankind type mask, isn't it? I never thought of that.
He's been deformed, and we get the backstory on him, is that the father Firefly, Earl Firefly, years ago, just went nuts on the family and tried to burn the house down. And unfortunately, the only one that really got the brunt of it was Tiny, as he's called. So we meet Tiny. We also meet Grandpa. Grandpa, I forgot all about this character. I only saw the movie once. I didn't even remember there was a grandpa because the actor, again, another one, Dennis Fimple, died right after this movie. He doesn't make it. I've seen Devil's Rejects a bunch of times because I love that movie. Yeah. I have only seen this one once. Grandpa has a shtick. His shtick is pussy eating jokes. Mm-hmm. And he, you know what? He does it to the best of his ability.
Yes, he does.
So
God bless him. I would hang out with that dude. Dude, it just, you know.
You would have enjoyed their show.
That scene, it may be my favorite scene in the whole fucking movie, and I'm jumping ahead, but I just have to fucking say it.
Oh, it's fine.
When he's fucking sitting there watching TV, eating the fucking TV dinner, and why can't I? Oh, Otis is fucking sitting next to him, and Otis says some fucking shit. He's like, I'll go fucking take care of this shit because nobody. And Grandpa like fucking says, you mother, like stands like he's gonna do something. And fucking Otis just takes a knife and sticks it in his face. Don't you start fucking with me.
Yeah.
And fucking Grandpa just flips him off as he's walking away. I fucking love Grandpa, man. He's my favorite part of this whole movie.
He is good. They're
Yeah.
watching the Dragula episode of the Munsters, by the way,
Yes.
and Dragula being a
That's
Rob
when he
Zombie.
argues with him. He's like, I'll drive that fucking thing.
Yeah.
He's like, you couldn't fit your fat ass. And that's when he jumps up and he's going to fight Otis. And Otis just grabs his knife. Don't you fuck with me.
And Otis is the, I guess, brother, Firefly brother. By the way, all this Firefly stuff and all these characters' names is all Marx Brothers stuff. Rob Zombie is a huge Marx Brothers fan. He said that he wants to make like a Marx Brothers movie at some point.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But Otis, Firefly, and all that stuff, these are all character names from different Marx Brothers movies. Otis is like the truly scary one of the bunch because it's Bill Moseley, who's an intense guy. And I think he's scarier in The Devil's Rejects. Like,
I
because
disagree.
Really?
We'll talk. Yeah.
Okay. All right. He's definitely more, this whole movie is more of a horror movie than Devil's Rejects. Devil's Rejects is just more of like a crime, movie. And I think like, you know, there's bits in that where he's just like so grotesque and so horrible. But in this one, I can say I agree with you a little bit where he's more of a horror character in this one. He's got, you know, we find out that like we keep hearing like this little scuttlebutt on the radio about like missing cheerleaders. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, these missing cheerleaders have all been murdered and or raped and are in this house. Eventually, they have dinner together. The dinner, I think, consisted of entirely candles. Did you notice that? It was just candles all over the table.
Candles and whipped cream, I think.
Yeah.
because fucking Grandpa's face was just covered in whipped cream and he kept yelling and spitting it all over everybody. Yeah, I didn't really see any, you know, there was no cannibalism going on like you would expect in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
I think Zombie figured he had to like pull back on a few things. Like he had a chart. He had a Chainsaw Massacre chart and he's like, let's never say it's Texas. And they're like, okay, let's not make them cannibals, but we'll just make it fried chicken. All right. And then where Chainsaw Massacre kind of just like gets crazier and crazier, but kind of stays on the same path. When we get to the end of this movie, it's just going to be fucking really fucking weird. And we'll get to that, but, we'll get to Dr. Satan in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So they have a show for the kids and the show consists of what, Larry? What do we get in the show?
Grandpa's stand-up.
Yeah.
Which is literally just him screaming so loud that he's making feedback into the microphone, flipping people off and talking about eating pussy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's his whole stand-up act. And can I tell you, I'm on board. I want to be in the crowd. Like, this guy fucking cracks me up. And I recently just saw him on a episode of ER, by the way. But I was like, hey, Grandpa Firefly. But he wasn't, unfortunately, telling pussy jokes on ER. So I was a little bummed out.
NBC was like, we have to put a stop at the pussy jokes.
The pussy jokes and whipped cream spitting for this episode, if you don't mind. So so it starts out with him telling the jokes, and then he kind of turns into, I think he's more the announcer.
He's the MC. He's all dressed up and everything. Yeah.
Right. But you know, if you're familiar at all with like old time shows, the MC would always not just come announce bands, but they would tell some jokes and, you know, tell some stories, etc. So I think that's what he's doing. And then he announces Baby Firefly, who comes out to do like a Betty Boop review, right? Like
she's kind
Marilyn
of like
Monroe type Betty Boop type performance where she's lip syncing "I Want to Be Loved by You."
Yeah, and she's singing it to Bill, kind of, and she's like, she's got this really great dress on, but she's also kind of got like almost
white face. Yeah,
with,
like lipstick, like heart type lipstick. It's just like really, it's a strange look. Well, I say strange, but it looks fine. I'm okay.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I'm actually more okay with her long johns, like 2 scenes prior. I'm okay with that too.
I'm okay with that too. I'm actually more okay with what she wore to go to the liquor store a few scenes later.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Red hot pussy liquors, of course. Yes. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't that be the name of the liquor store in 1970s Texas?
Yeah.
Texas, a place, mind you, where, I work in the environmental industry, okay? Environmental industry, everything's acronyms. Every kind of environmental incident is an acronym, right? So if you're looking at an environmental report and you want to see if a gas station has above ground storage tanks, those are ASTs. If they have underground storage tanks, those are USTs. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If they have leaking underground storage tanks, those are...
Wait.
Go ahead.
LUSTs?
Perfect.
Okay.
Unless you're in Texas. Because they did not want LUST used as an acronym in the state of Texas. So I believe they're just LSTs in Texas. So you're going to tell me that they won't even use the nationwide accepted acronym for leaking underground storage tank in Texas, but you can open a liquor store called Red Hot Pussy Liquors.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, as you said, in 1977.
Right.
Also, by the way, everything you just said gives me the absolute feeling that if I disappear tomorrow, it's because of that. Like, once this episode comes out, like, I'm going to disappear because, like, you just let everybody know about the LSTs in Texas. And
Oh, yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. Right. Fucking
maybe I'll disappear. I don't know.
You got to die for something.
That's right.
You got to stand up to Texas. All right. So as she's singing "I Want to Be Loved by You" and kind of giving Bill the eyes.
I'm sorry. They're not LSTs. They're L tanks.
L tanks.
That's the proper acronym for Texas leaking underground tanks. Just L tanks.
L tanks. All right.
Yep.
You've really solidified my fucking fate by mentioning that.
Now
Thank
I did.
you.
Yeah. If you were going to go, I wanted to,
make it big.
Yeah. Be for the right thing.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. How embarrassing. I died because Larry said the wrong fucking thing about Texas and their environmental issues. So the girlfriend gets all fucking uppity and starts calling Baby like a whore and a cunt and all this stuff. And Baby is a psychopath, so she pulls a knife out on her. And then essentially Mother Firefly is like, yeah, every one of you get the fuck out of here. Your car's done. Get the fuck out of here. Go. So they raining outside. They all jump into the car. They start to take off, and as they're taking off, the gate to the compound is shut. So Bill gets out of the car, says, I gotta open the gate. There's a couple scarecrows up on I don't know how they got there this fast, disguise themselves, but Otis and Bearman, RJ, are the scarecrows. They jump down and they give a Texas-sized whoop-ass to Bill, and then attack the car. And then we go to essentially back into the house, where everybody is kind of starting to wake up. Now, while this is all happening, Matt Damon, aged into adult Private Ryan, is looking for his daughter. All right? That's him. Did you recognize him?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I just recently watched Saving Private Ryan. So
okay.
It's like, hey, last time I saw this guy, he was crying on a fucking tombstone.
Tell me I'm a good man.
Yeah.
And also, tell me if my daughter is at Rob Zombie's house of 1,000 corpses. So he is looking for his daughter.
Yeah.
And he gets involved with the deputy, George Wydell, and his partner, Steve Nash. So they're looking. And they end up going to Spalding's and talking to Spalding. And Spalding's like, yeah, I remember those kids. I drew them a map to Dr. Satan's tree. So just to kind of get there, they also are going to show up at the house pretty soon. Now, inside the house, fucking terror is happening. What's going on inside the house, Larry?
Yeah, Otis is trying to get his creativity, right? He's been blocked.
Yeah.
He's had a block. He hasn't been able to be as creative as he wants. He was yelling at the cheerleaders earlier, telling them that he hasn't been able to be creative. But now he's got some new people. So he's going to start getting creative. He's going to start making a fish boy, right?
Yeah, fish boy.
Yeah, fish boy.
Yeah. So he's yelling at not Bill's girlfriend, the other girlfriend.
Right.
And he's you ever have a job before? You probably scooped ice cream with your daddy, Bob. But he's just doing the whole Bill Moseley thing.
Which I feel like a lot of his stuff is ad lib, right?
I feel the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great.
The same way.
Which 3 from Hell, I'm pretty sure the entire script was ad lib. But I think House, a lot of it was ad lib, and it's fucking great. Mosley's just great.
He is great, and he does definitely carry a large part of that. So he kind of, where's Bill? He shows. And she's like, please show me. She's like, please show me Bill. I just need to see Bill. And he
he's like, okay.
He pulls a curtain aside, and he has killed Dwight Schrute and turned him into a merman, as Derek Zoolander said. A merman, Dad. I'm not sure how. I don't know if he connected them to wood. I mean, he shellacked them, maybe?
Doesn't matter.
But he is now a merman.
He's a fish.
So he's a fish. So the girl's screaming and crying. The other girl, right, wakes up in the basement. I'm sorry. So the first girl was Bill's girlfriend. Yeah. In the bedroom. Then the other girl wakes up in the basement, and she's kind of dressed like in like a weird little dress.
I think she's in one of the cheerleader costumes that the other girl had on.
Right. She's like kind of laying about with all the other girls.
Yeah. She's tied to a bed, like a really icky bed.
She gets out.
Well, first, Tiny lets her out. Tiny's sitting there jamming cereal into his face. Poorly. Like Tiny's doing a really bad job eating cereal.
Larry, did I mention how I really love podcasting with you? Yeah. Because as I watched this, I said, oh my God, nobody ever taught him how to use a spoon. So instead of putting the cereal on, scooping the cereal up, as we all do.
Like a normal human.
You put the spoon in your mouth, and then you close your mouth enough to kind of slide and trap the cereal in your mouth, and then you use your teeth to chew.
Yeah.
He does the scoop okay.
Right.
He holds the spoon up to his mouth, and then he just like slurps in some. He
kind of moves his lips at the cereal.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
He puts the spoonful of goodness to his lips, and then just almost makes like if you like people at home. Okay, go and that's what he's doing into the spoonful of cereal. And you can see a little is getting in.
72% is not making it in his mouth.
Vast majority is just getting pushed back into the bowl and dropping down into the bowl.
There is,
which leads me to believe that it probably takes him a good 3 hours to eat a bowl of cereal at that rate.
If I eat cereal, I never eat less. I eat 2 bowls. If I'm going to eat a bowl of cereal, I'm going to have a second bowl because it's usually I'm eating it as a meal, not a snack.
Sure.
But I'm done in 15, 20 minutes because my parents helped me master the spoon art.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Putting the spoon in your mouth. Yeah.
Tiny, 72% of the kicks or whatever it was either fall on him or in the bowl. The milk is everywhere.
Yeah. It's a bad look. I'd say 77 was probably Quisp.
Yeah.
I had to guess. So while he's eating this, she wakes up and sees this horrendous display of cereal eating.
Yeah. It is in a movie called House of a Thousand Corpses that has a fish man in it.
Yeah.
Him eating the cereal might be the most vulgar thing that we see in the whole film.
Probably is. And it's disturbing and sad all at the same time. Like
it's fucking sad.
Yeah. I want to help him eat the cereal.
I do too.
So she's like, please help me. And he's like, yeah, no problem. He just reaches over and unties her right away and goes back to just into the cereal fucking spoon. And so she's like, fuck, all right. She's like, I'm going to leave. And he just waves to her. Remember, he waves.
Yeah, he waves, yeah.
Yeah, because she's kind of like confused that she's free. And she's like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go. And he's just like, yeah, bye. Like, wave. She starts going up the stairs, but of course, fucking Otis is right there. And he's like, where the fuck you think you're going, rat tail? I don't think he called her rat tail, but it sounds like something he would say.
That actually, I would have believed that was the line if you didn't just say, I would have just said, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then he opens a trap door, some sort of a cage door, and pushes her in there, where she immediately gets jumped on by like 8 people.
Like she gets enveloped by people.
Yeah, it's almost like she stumbled into the people under the stairs. Like
there's a couple points in this movie, and especially the end,
that lack sense.
The end lacks no sense to me whatsoever. No. The end loses
when we get there. When we get there, this movie takes a hard turn into what the fuck's Phil.
Yeah,
like yeah. I mean, it was already crazy. It was already.
I would have appreciated it. I would have appreciated it more if they didn't take that turn. Yeah, but that's
so that's one of the spot, and maybe the first spot where you're like, whoa, huh?
Yeah,
like he just throws her in a cage and all. Like it looks like it's just like a bunch of clothes, but then from under the clothes are all these people who just jump up, And like you said, just envelop her, and then it's a cutaway. You don't know what happens.
You never see what happens there.
Right. Or who those people are. No explanation. Just random. It's almost like in Enter the Ninja when Bruce Lee's like in the fucking, like in the kind of down below, and there's just all cages full of people. I feel like, what's going on? But at least they explain those people later. At least they Enter the Ninja, they explain those people. Like these people, you just have no fucking no idea. It's like people under the stairs. What are they doing there? Like, I don't know.
It's super weird. And because it cuts away so fast, and again, this movie was cut. Right. So maybe there was an explanation. Maybe they've kept some of their victims and now they're brainwashed.
Yeah. I think, which I think might be. And then don't we go upstairs into Baby's room?
She's got Jerry. She's got Chris Hardwick. And he has to answer a question.
Yeah.
Who's my favorite movie star?
I don't believe that anything he said would have been the correct answer.
No, she was going to scalp him no matter what.
He said Marilyn Monroe, which I thought was a strong guess.
He says Marilyn Monroe, and for her, it is a strong guess. I don't remember what the answer was.
I think she said either Betty Davis. I think she said Betty Davis. I don't buy it.
No, she was going to scalp him no matter what.
Yeah.
I will say this. For a guy that gets scalped and lives for like another 20 minutes of the movie, he seems to recover from the scalping.
He's all right. He's all right.
I feel like a scalping would really fucking dampen my day. Like I would be pretty like.
I feel like you might bleed out.
Yeah.
I've cut my head. Shit bleeds. A lot.
I shave my head with with the electric razor.
I do it with a regular razor every 2 days.
That's what I was gonna say. I shave my head every few like weeks or so and just get it down to like the nitty gritty. I used to then bick it, and I stopped because when you cut your fucking head, it's just first of all it bleeds, and second of all, you just look like you got a big piece of barbecue or something, like a piece of spare rib on your head for like a week and a half while
like one of those Chinese spare ribs.
Fuck yeah.
Stuck in your head. That guy got a Chinese boneless spare rib on his head?
A guy I work with is bald, and he bicks his head, and he came into work the other day, and he must have fucking nicked a fucking artery.
It ain't even a nick when you cut your head. It's not.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's not the proper word.
And the first thing I noticed on his head was the scab, and it kind of made me hungry because it looked like a Chinese fucking rib. I'm like, Jesus, that's meaty.
Yeah, dude. I'll tell you, I think everybody's got a spot, right? That they kind of cut like I have a spot. When I cut myself, it's usually right behind the ear. I can hear it happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a tearing sound.
Yeah.
And then there's like always a chunk. I know this is disgusting.
No.
But let me tell you. So before my heart surgeries, when I would still get AFib, I had to be on blood thinners because they don't want you to because when you go into fib, you can clot. You can throw a blood clot and you get a stroke and fucking die. So if you consistently get AFib, they keep you on blood thinners to try to prevent clots. Try cutting your fucking head when you're on blood thinners. That shit bleeds for like 6 days.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, it's insane. I would just walk around seriously, like at work until like 2:00 p.m. still holding a napkin onto the back. I don't know. I don't even know how we got here. Actually.
What are those things that the women use? I've never seen one, but I always hear them in movies and stuff, like styptic pencil. You need a styptic pencil.
Oh yeah. I just got to show you what's going on. I don't know what's happening, but there's Jalen just crawling around on the floor.
Around on the floor.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening, but she's just crawling around.
She's looking for your styptic pencil.
Are you trying to clean up this mess that you've made down here over the past 2 days? I've been gone for 3 days, and she just turned this into some sort of den of iniquity. I don't know what that means. Probably not what I'm trying to say.
It sounds good.
Yeah. Take that open jar of Vaseline with you too. Like I got home from Detroit at like 11:30 last night. I come down here because this is where I keep my equipment. There's just 4 girls hanging out down here. I'm like, What's going on?
It's the fucking Nightbreed poster room. Who wouldn't want to hang there? What 13-year-old girl wouldn't want to chill in that room?
Yeah, there's like four. There's four of them down here.
You got a poster with Lon Chaney on it. He's like the heartthrob right now, right? There's all these TikToks of young girls talking about how much they love Lon Chaney.
Lon Chaney, yeah. Big doings in Lon Chaney land. All right, so
let's just move to the end. Let's move to the end.
Okay. Hold on.
We're there, right?
No. First we got to talk about Saving Private Ryan guy.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Goes to meet the two cops, Tom Towles and Teeth.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Yeah.
Just dawned on me. Let me bring it back. You talked about Quentin Tarantino, right? So his name is Steve Nash.
Yeah.
The cop who gets his ear cut off in Reservoir Dogs is Marvin Nash.
Marvin Nash. We met at a party. Marvin Nash.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole scene is like so. Sorry, Marvin Nash. I'm a cop. I know. Why are you both talking like that? Would you stop it?
Back in the on the QT days, we did that. That was the first episode. Obviously, we did that with Laura, and I'm pretty sure that 90% of that episode is us just going Marvin Nash.
Yeah, the two of them are so annoying in that fucking scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's funny that he's a Nash as well. I wonder if they're related. Private Ryan guy, who is the dad of the asshole, right? No, he's the dad of the non-asshole. Yeah.
What's going to be the
Denise.
I guess final girl?
Denise. Yeah. Denise. I think it's Denise.
Maybe. Yeah. No, Mary.
I think Mary's. I thought Mary was the asshole.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Maybe Denise then.
Yeah, I think Mary's the asshole and Denise is the normal-ish one. So her dad, who's an ex-cop, meets up with Tom Towles, and he's got a connection. Not these two cops, but he's got a connection in that department. So he has him down. Yeah, so he has him down, goes up and meets up with the two cops, and they're going to check out houses in the area. For some reason, apparently they immediately... I don't know why you would suspect the Firefly family.
The dolls on the siding, yeah.
Yeah, may be involved in this. So they go to the house. Tom Towles goes around front and is knocking on the door. Mama Firefly runs upstairs. She's like, what the fuck? There's a cop at the door. Mosey's like, I'll go out back and take care of this shit like I always fucking do. You go down front and keep him busy. So
he gives her a gun.
Yeah, gives her a gun. She tries to get Tom Towles out of there. She's like, nope, never seen any fucking kids. Just beat it. He's persistent. He's like, well, can I just come in and show you some more pictures? Which I don't think he even had any more pictures. But anyway, he's sitting down. She's trying to charm him.
They also found the body in the trunk of the car. They found the cheerleader.
That's right. They found one of the cheerleaders in the body in the trunk of the kids' cars.
Right.
And again, for some reason, suspect the Firefly family. So that's how they end up at their house. And while Tom Towles is inside with Mama Firefly, out back, Saving Private Ryan guy and Dr. Teeth are snooping around
the barn.
Yeah, and he's telling some weird story about how he got bit by a chihuahua or some shit.
He's afraid of because they have a big dog. It starts barking, and he's nervous about the dog.
Yeah, and Saving Private Ryan's like, calm down, Barney, like chill out. Anyway, I don't know if his name was Barney, but he called him Barney.
He calls him Barney Fife.
Yeah. So then they hear some ruckus in a like it looks like a trailer, like a pod, like some kind of pod, and they open it up, and there's not only one of the girls I don't remember if it was Denise
the asshole
or Mary.
Girl.
It was Mary, okay.
Yeah.
And then the other dead cheerleaders are in there. Pretty much at the same time. It's like a split. Like at the same time that's happening, Tom Towles hears some shit and Mama Firefly just fucking shoots him in the back of the ear.
Yeah, Nash, Walton Goggins starts to like talk on the walkie-talkie.
He radios,
get out of there! Get out of there!
Yeah, like we found him or whatever. And so he turns around and gets shot in the fucking ear, back of the ear. Basically, he gets shot right where I cut myself when I shave.
He literally gets shot where your sweet spot is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He gets shot right there. So I felt some kind of way about it. Actually, I was like, that's fucked up. I felt like it was a jab at me, personally. Yeah. Yeah. So he gets shot in the ear. Meanwhile, fucking, this cop is panicking. This dude, fucking old Private Ryan guy, sees this girl, and I think he starts to run away.
Well, one of the things that's important is everything goes slow motion.
Yeah.
And
Which
then
is annoying as shit, actually.
And we also get, I'm thinking, I didn't look this up. It sounds like Tiny Tim or something. But it's a very
sound vocally like Tiny Tim.
It's a very what's the word, like antithesis of what's happening in the scene type of song. It's like a happy, like mandolin kind of
like
little thing. Like
Tiptoe Through the Tulips happening during fucking Demons and Sinister.
Right. So he's running away and he gets popped in the back a few times.
Yep.
And then
Otis is hiding behind some of the many fucking items that are in that backyard.
Yeah, they're hoarders, by the way. They need some help.
There's refrigerators, there's tires.
Yeah, it's a real shithole.
Yeah. Like you would expect at the kind of like the property around the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I wonder where you got that idea from.
Yeah,
so
there was actually chickens and there was actually chickens in cages, of course.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So he gets fucking shot in the back as he's trying to run away. And then Otis makes Dr. Teeth drop his gun. And then we get like a 15-minute scene of Otis holding him at gunpoint, right? That slowly pulling away to almost unseeable heights.
It was filmed by the Chinese weather balloon from about a year ago. That's where they filmed that viewpoint from.
Yeah.
That's why it was here. It was filming this scene from it went back in time to film this scene for the House of a Thousand Corpses, and then it ended up back in our time.
And I'm pretty sure if this movie is 90 minutes long, that scene is 20 of those minutes.
It's definitely long, and it gets quiet too.
Yeah.
And then pop, he shoots him.
Yeah.
So then we kind of get towards the end. The only two kids left are the Denise and Jerry, who's been scalped. They're both wearing bunny costumes.
Sure.
We get a lot of Otis again, run, rabbit, run. They bring him out to a field where the tree is, right? Now,
here's
Larry,
where it gets fucking...
This is the one thing I truly, really remember about this movie from seeing it one time many years ago, is the hard turn it takes.
Yeah.
From
you want to see Dr. Satan?
Yeah.
We'll show you Dr. Satan.
Because is this the only film in the three movies? Now, I was
trying to think of the same thing. I don't think there's any mention of Dr. Satan moving forward.
Not even Dr. Satan, but like almost like a supernatural tinge. The rest of them don't. I saw Three from Hell once. It was not good, but I don't remember. It was another crime. It was trying to be Devil's Rejects. It was not good.
Yeah.
But Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell and this movie, 90% of it are just kind of like horror/crime movies featuring, nothing supernatural. But then we get to Dr. Satan.
Yeah.
And
they're having some kind of like a black mass.
First he comes down wearing Private Ryan's face.
Yes, right. He's like, give daddy a kiss. Yeah. Sticking his tongue out through the fucking mouth hole. Which he did a great job of peeling that fucking thing off, let me tell you. It's perfect.
It was super perfect. And that guy is old. His skin would tear if he farts the wrong way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if he sneezes too hard, like his cheek would split.
Right.
And meanwhile, somehow Otis was able to get his face off really nicely to the point where there was no blood. It was all clean.
And I feel like if you survived storming the beach at Normandy, you could probably get through this, but whatever.
Yeah, I would think so too. So yeah, they have like a black mass type thing. They're playing some kind of like incantation. And then they open up this giant, like, well.
Yeah, Tiny's fucking
cranking.
I wish somebody else was doing it because I'm sure Tiny's strong, but come on, this guy's clearly crippled. Like, let somebody else go over there and fucking. And where's Grandpa? Grandpa's not involved in the mass at all.
No, Grandpa's he's in his room writing brand new pussy jokes.
Right. Well, I can tell you that. The reason he's in a chair through most of his scenes was he was already dying.
Yeah, I know he died like right after this film.
He did, and he did not die of natural causes. He died in a car wreck. But but he was dying anyway. Which is why most of his scenes were filmed sitting down. He was sick, he was dying, and then ended up dying in a car wreck.
That sucks. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the film is dedicated to him, and Devil's Rejects is dedicated to Matthew McGorry, who died, like we said earlier, like right after filming that.
Right. So Tiny was works some sort of pulley device that.
One hand, he's lowering these kids into this. They put them in like a double coffin and lower them. And one hand, he's lowering them. The other hand, he's trying to teach himself how to use a fucking spoon.
He's going me right into a fucking bunch of cereal. And he's like, "Fuck! I still can't get the cereal in my mouth."
Let's just admit it, Tiny. You're fucking awful at this.
Yeah.
You're good at so many other things.
Can you eat some? Can somebody give him toast or something?
Yeah.
Just switch the meal up, please.
Tiny, you are an incredible center in basketball. You can get anything off of any shelf anywhere we go, but you've got to start eating handheld fucking food. Stuff on spoons. Like that time you ate clam chowder, I'm still trying to fucking not think about it.
Oh, God. Imagine giving that guy a bowl of soup. Not fucking gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
So he's lowering the two kids in the rabbit costumes into this pit. They end up at the bottom of the pit. It's kind of a semi-closed coffin. There's like a cross on it. They shut the lights off. Now here's where we get supernatural. Yeah. First of all, there's like pit monsters. What the fuck are those?
I don't know. Honestly, I honestly don't know what happens after this. I mean, I know I've seen it.
Yeah.
Don't think that I, walked out of the theater or shut it off when I rewatched, but I just don't, I can't really wrap my head around it and make sense of what's happening or why.
Yeah.
Like I know it's Dr. Satan's lair, right? And I know that the weird pus mouth Darth Vader character is the father.
I thought that because they showed him in that flashback, and then I had to look it up and realize that that's Earl Firefly.
Right.
Where they keep going to, confusing here, they keep going to like that first person view of his, like a video game view, but he's also making robot noises. Is he a robot?
I don't think. I think it's him breathing through that apparatus.
Okay, I thought it was like,
which is creepy. Listen, it's a creepy fucking sound. His breathing, the or whatever the fuck it is. I can't do it, but it's weird and it is slightly creepy. But I just don't know why any of it's happening. I don't know why they're underground. I don't know why Dr. Satan is still experimenting. I don't know who these people are he's experimenting on. I don't know why he's strung up like a marionette.
Why is Dr. Satan Dr. Octopus? I wanted to know this.
I don't know. At first I was like, are those wings? What's he got on? And I'm like, no, he's like strung up like a marionette. Like he's a fucking... and like you said, there's like monsters down there, and then there's like random people that steal their bunny suits and run away. Did you remember that? Like they steal her. I think this was after Chris Hardwick finally, I guess they captured him and then
they vivisect him, right? Like they're opening his brain up and stuff. And
they seem to have done that rather quickly because one second he's in the coffin, the next second he's like his whole head is split open and they're like picking at him.
So that's what I want to ask about this whole ending. So let me just run through the ending real quick. Okay. Chris Hardwick dies on the operating table. She ends up fighting off Earl Firefly, and 2 different times he tries to kill her with like his pickaxe or whatever, and he misses. Yeah. He knocks down like all the support beams onto himself. She gets away. She gets out into daylight, and then she gets picked up by Captain Spaulding, who, by the way, Captain Spaulding is such a famous character from this movie that it's easy to forget that he's only in like 4 fucking scenes of this movie in particular. He picks her up, it's again, super Chainsaw Massacre-y. He's taking her away to help. And as this happens, Otis sits up from the back seat, and then accosts her. She wakes up again. Now she's on Dr. Satan's operating table, and we get the end with a question mark. So my question about all of this from that point forward and what we know about the movies coming up after this, is that whole ending thing supposed to be a dream sequence? All of it. Like, is it a dream within a dream? Because when she gets out, she gets recaptured again. What the fuck?
Well, I've always thought that that everything that takes place after she gets into that car is a dream. I'm not sure about. I think Mosley accosted her, but I think that next part is a dream because I thought Earl died. I thought everything collapsed on him and he died, but then he's in that last scene with her.
That's what I'm saying is, so
I don't know.
Everything is is everything that happens from the incantation, the scene in the field. I mean, look, we don't have to argue this. It doesn't really matter in the end, but it just seems like that would make more sense in the end. And look, let's right off the bat, Rob Zombie has said, I was reading an interview with him, that he thinks this movie's a mess. Like he I think is probably kind of confused by it. Who knows what the editing process was to get it down from an NC-17. Who knows what the studios told him? We need this Dr. Satan thing. That might not have been all stuff he wanted in there, but I don't know, man. I'm and then of course you just get the end with a question mark, and it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie is, if you want to even take away the Texas Chainsaw thing, innocent kids ending up in a crazy fucking place. It's fun house.
It's the typical horror story of kids being too curious for their own fucking good.
Right. And then it turns into muck monsters.
Spaulding even tried to warn them off. Like, fucking don't go chasing Dr. Satan bullshit. Just fucking take your chicken and go home.
Right.
But then finally he was like, okay, Mary, here you go. Here's your fucking map. So yeah, it's just the typical horror tale of, kids, and then it just takes that weird ass turn. So you're thinking that that's all a dream. The black mass, the lowering, the being in that cave.
Everything from the time they put the bunny suits on. Like either they're dying in the house. It's just all weird. It's all
weird.
Like again, because if you're gonna say them getting lowered in, even if they got lowered in, once you introduce the muck monsters or whatever the fuck those things were, I just don't understand what's happening here.
No, me neither.
Don't understand it. All right, well, that was A House of 1,000 Corpses. As we do on all of Scary Larry's House of Horrors episodes, let's talk about our favorite kill, kids.
That's for my wife. Fuck you and die.
Larry, what was your favorite kill in this film?
Oh, I mean, it's off screen, which is unfortunate, but it's Fish Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see the kill, but the payoff of the kill is just glorious. I mean, look at him. He looked fucking amazing. I would mount that in my house. Like,
I know you would.
Oh, I fully would. Like, and I'm not a huge fan of these movies, but if somebody said, hey, I've got an exact replica of fucking Fish Boy from House of 1,000 Corpses, I'd be like, yes, give me that. I need that.
Yeah. I need that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my favorite.
All right. Well, mine, you're going to laugh at mine because we talked about it at length, but I actually, and again, it's vanilla for a horror movie kill, but I give it credit because I think it's an interesting scene and how he frames it and what he does with it. I actually like Otis killing Steve Nash, the weather balloon kill.
Yeah.
Because, the music stops literally at one point. As I watched this, I wondered if my Blu-ray froze. But I think that's also an interesting filmmaking technique where it's like you're waiting for 30 seconds. Yeah. And then when the gun goes off, you see the smoke out of the back of his head and he just kind of drops. It's not the most inventive kill. And there's not, a lot of these movies we talk about, there's not a lot of kills in this movie, but I think it's maybe the best movie making kill.
Yeah, there's not a ton of on-screen kills on this movie. There's Tom Towles, there's the dad, there's
all three cops.
Dr. Teeth. Are there any?
The robbers in the beginning.
Oh, sure. Okay,
and it's all gun violence.
Yeah, I was going to say none of the. I mean, they show they show them cutting up some of the girls, but I don't think there's ever any actual.
The cheerleaders are almost all corpses right from the beginning. The ones that are dead, or when they show them. The only other one is Jerry at the end. I mean, he when he's fucking around with his brain, he dies. You see him die. He starts bleeding out of the mouth.
Right.
And that's a cool kill. I mean, that looks good. The effects are good, but yeah, I like the weather balloon, the very long weather balloon kill.
We skipped over. Let's have a new category: most unnecessary scene, and let's not have it be the entire end, but the liquor store scene.
Liquor store scene. I think. Hear me out.
Yeah.
I think that Rob Zombie knew he had a super hot girlfriend/wife eventually.
Yep.
I also think that he just couldn't figure out where in the movie to put her in that outfit.
Uh-huh.
And I think he also just liked the goober joke or whatever they called the guy. You are 190% right.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that scene other than to try to have another witty Tarantino-esque banter scene.
Right. Other than to see her ass.
And she's wearing like a vest.
Which I'm fine with.
100%. But I feel like he literally just said, I got to get her in this outfit. I love this outfit. This turns me on. She wears it for me every Friday night when we have our lovemaking sessions. I want everybody to know what I got. Right. Because you're absolutely right. Fucking unnecessary.
Yeah. She buys a ton of liquor for no reason.
Yep.
It's unless they're planning on having a post Black Mass Dr. Satan celebration. I don't know no fucking reason.
That's possible.
But the banter, the goober thing when she calls him goober, and he, looks at, he's like, oh, my fucking coworker, it's G. Ober, but my coworker put an extra O there because he's an asshole, and she's just like, okay, goober, how much? It's like pretty good, but again, not a fucking reason other than like maybe you said just to say, hey, look at my hot girlfriend's ass. Apparently, there was like 30 to 40 minutes cut to get an R rating. And apparently a lot that was cut was baby
her violence,
her necrophilia. So,
okay.
So there's a scene, and I'd read about this years ago. There's this a quick scene where she's she's got like the skeleton hand and she's touching her nipple. Like, you remember that? It's like one of those quick cut scenes.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, apparently that was much longer, and she actually pleasures herself with the hand and comes. Like,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
And that was cut out along with a ton of gore, supposedly. I would actually welcome a director's cut.
I was reading about it, and there's been no plans for it, and apparently there was back in like 2001. After this was filmed and before everything happened with it, like jumping around, it showed at like one festival once.
What, a director's cut?
The full cut, yeah.
Oh.
And, because it's only happened once, and there's other movies that this has happened with, it's like subject of rumor, like people saying, oh, I remember that, and who knows. Yeah. But I think even Rob Zombie in the thing I read said, yeah, it got out one time. Some cut, but it's never been put back together again, which is really surprising because we'll get to what we think of the movie in a second, but like it's super popular. And you would think that at some point someone would just say, especially around Halloween, 4K, Blu-ray, like extended cut.
Well, John, I wonder if they cut it and just tossed the fucking additional scenes.
That's insane how much that happened to movies, especially in the old days. Where like I've read about, and I'm failing to grab one off the top of my head, but like they have to dig and like go into these salt mines to find like bits of Nightbreed. Yeah.
Nightbreed for fucking forever. Clive Barker talked about all these additional scenes, and I wish I could put out a cut that I agree with because I hate what, came out and blah, blah, blah. And it took them like 20 years and they found it on a shelf somewhere. Holy shit. Here's our stuff.
I don't know if you remember us talking about this because it was years ago, but when we did the Friday,
it's still showing at the Strand. But.
I joke about that all the time. Yeah, that movie is long as shit.
Yeah.
When we did the Friday the 13th Part 2, I don't know if you remember we talked about it, but like they found like some of the cut scenes on like a VHS that was like pretty badly destroyed, and they baked it in an oven to fix it, and they were able to. I think it might be on the.
It's on the
box set. Yeah.
And they're awesome.
Yeah, I think I remember, this is like 2 or 3 years ago that I watched it the last time, but I think I remember that. But yeah, they put it in an oven to like repair the film. That's fucking crazy. All right, let's get to it. Let's rate this thing.
Are those your grades?
Yep. I don't think that I deserved an F. Do you?
Larry, what are we rating House of 1,000 Corpses on?
Red Hot Pussy Lickers.
All right. I like that one. I like that one a lot. I'll go first on this one. I really do love Devil's Rejects. I would like to do that at some point. I think that's, of everything I've seen of Rob Zombie, it's the only one that I can say, wow, I think he's a good director in terms of like, he has a good visual style and everything, but his movies aren't all good. I really love Devil's Rejects. I hadn't seen this in a long time. I truly remembered not liking it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of been my byline for like the last, like, having not seen it even, admittedly, like people bring it up. I'm like, that movie's not good. I'm going to give it a 2.75. I think it has some really interesting things in it, some good performances. Sid Haig, everybody kind of knows him now as Captain Spaulding, and there's a reason he's funny in this. He's not in a lot of it. Bill Moseley is great. Otis is truly a scary character. And there's some good little directing flourishes throughout this thing. It loses its fucking mind at the end. Like it goes right over a cliff and like plummets into a giant toilet, and I don't know, that whole ending is just, it's bonkers and not good to me. But I kind of like the vibe this movie gives off. I get what he was going for. He was trying to make an homage to a lot of things he liked. Texas Chainsaw Massacre being probably number one. 2.75 for House of a Thousand Corpses. Larry, what do you give it?
Well, for House of 1,000 Corpses. All right, so I definitely want to be on the Devil's Rejects episode. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, yeah, we're doing that.
Because I've got stuff to say as well. I am in, and I'll say it on this episode, and then I'll say it again when we do that one. I am in the huge minority, as our friend Shawnee Mack likes to remind me all the time, of people who prefer this movie to Devil's Rejects.
Oh, my fuck. Are you serious?
I do.
Really?
I do. I find this movie to be a genuine horror movie, whereas I find Devil's Rejects to be just straight torture porn, crime, not scary at all. I find there's nothing scary about the Devil's Rejects. As a matter of fact, earlier you'd said that you think Bill Moseley is scarier, Otis' character is scarier in Devil's Rejects. I completely disagree. I think in Devil's Rejects he's just more of a fucking hick, just some fucking backwoods hick, dangerous backwoods hick. Where
I think that's what I'm saying is I feel like he's like a dangerous real person. You know what I mean? Like someone you would want to cross.
Almost supernatural, like with the pale skin and the red eyes. His eyes are red in House of a Thousand Corpses. Like it's very unnerving. Like he's to me he's much scarier in a horror movie sense in House of a Thousand Corpses, where in Devil's Rejects he's just like, scary as some hick fucking, like almost more of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre type character, right? Because those are all humans,
right,
who can do the worst of things to a person, and that's kind of more of what he is in the Devil's Rejects. Where in this, like I said, he's scary because he's more of a not supernatural character. I keep saying that, but that's not really what he is. But even though he seems it, because he's like, his skin is almost albino and his eyes are like a pinkish red, and it's very, very off-putting. But I do prefer this to the Devil's Rejects. I think this is more of a horror movie, even though, like we'd said, it does take a very sharp turn at the end into basically Nowheresville. Like it just never should have gone there. It ruined the movie for a lot of people. I remember I went to see it in the theater with my friend Wayne, and it was okay until that fucking last piece of shit. And I'm like, nope, I get it. I'm on board. Like that shouldn't have happened at all. But even still, I think artistically, I think Rob Zombie had a good vision for what he wanted to do leading up to that ending part. I know it's a big Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff, but I still enjoyed it. I thought the Firefly family was interesting. I thought that other than Baby speaking, she was an interesting character. Like I said already, I love Grandpa. I wish he had lived more so we could have a full fucking movie with that guy. I absolutely loved him. Karen Black can be in any movie, and I'm gonna love her performance. That said, you have to take points away for the ending because it really fucking shit the bed. So even though I do prefer this, I'm still only going to give it a 3.25. Red Hot Pussy Lickers.
Yeah, I didn't get to say that. 2.75 Red Hot Pussy Lickers.
Yeah.
I
Would have been higher. It would have been higher for me if it wasn't for that like, if it had stuck the landing, it might be a 4. It might be a 4 for me.
Yeah.
But it goes down to a 3.25 just for that fucking complete fuckery of an ending.
Yeah, it's a fairly enjoyable watch. It certainly, for me, can't get past up to a 3 because of the ending.
Yeah.
If the ending went a little bit more, I don't want to say vanilla, but like vanilla, because I mean, it really does just take a sharp turn into like supernatural bizarreness.
Right. If she had just escaped the house, Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, right? She busts through the fucking window and then fucking jumps into Spaulding's car, and then they have the one flip would be that, Otis fucking pops up and that's the end. This may be, even though it's a fucking almost direct ripoff, this might have reached a 4 for me.
Yeah, I agree. It would definitely be a better movie to me if they did exactly what you said. Cut out all of the weird, satanic rites stuff, all the Dr. Satan stuff, all of the, whatever gas mask Terminator stuff, and just have her escape, get chased around. Like you said, just follow the template they already started following. And yeah, it would have easily hit like a 3 or a 3.25 for me.
The only positive that whole mass seance, whatever scene gave to the movie was Otis's badass black metal makeup. Like,
I was just gonna say, I don't know for sure, but I almost guarantee that NECA or somebody has made a figure.
There's tons of figures. Yeah.
Because as soon as I saw that and he's wearing like the corpse paint and all that stuff and the red robe and all that, I said, that's a fucking horror action figure right there.
Right.
If there's anything that is. And also I thought Earl Firefly, like somebody out there has an action figure of that fucking character too.
Probably.
You can find The Pint on all of the podcatchers out there. You can find us on Instagram and on Threads at The Pint Podcast, on Facebook as well. Until next time, Larry, say the words that we say to get out of here.
Fuck off.
Works for me this time.
See ya.
See ya.
Hi.
Hi. I'm going to have to be taking your car today. See, I have some top secret clown business that supersedes any plans that you might have for this here vehicle.
What's that about clown business?
The stutter, bitch.
Welcome to a brand new episode of The Pint. My name is John.
I'm Scary Larry.
And I'm Ryan Tutelo.
And we're here to talk all about a horror film because it's all horror October here on The Pint. And this is a Scary Larry's House of Horrors special, Halloween special. The first one in October. The second one will be on Halloween Day when we discuss the 1974 50th anniversary celebrating the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But today, we're going to talk all about a film that heavily apes the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Let's talk all about 2005's The Devil's Rejects.
Hey! Fire it up! 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 Fire it up!
All right, let's do it. I'm psyched.
You psyched, Larry?
Oh, man. Am I ready?
Now, me and you talked last year on the Patreon about the house with a thousand corpses,
or House of 1,000. That was the big.
Yes.
We couldn't figure out whether it's House of 1,000 or House of 1,000.
The House of 1,000 Corpses. We discussed it and we kind of let our feelings be known. I haven't re-listened to the episode recently. I remember you were higher on it than I was. I remember you also said, and this isn't a spoiler necessarily, but just to get it out there, that you preferred that movie to the one we're talking about tonight, correct?
Correct.
Because it is more of a horror film and tonight's movie is kind of more of like a thriller crime thing going on. And I told you that I
was fucking crazy or something.
Probably, but I said that I preferred this one over that one.
Most do.
Yes.
I would think. I mean, Brian, this isn't a spoiler. Which, if you have to pick one, what's your favorite?
I go back to Devil's Rejects probably more than I do House. Not that I don't like House. I'm one of the few Rob Zombie apologists that you're going to find.
Oh.
Like, I come from a internet forum where Rob Zombie is like a dirty word. If you say that out loud, you're going to be struck down. But like, I tend to like his movies, and I was actually surprised. You said that this was like Texas Chainsaw when House of a Thousand Corpses is a Texas Chainsaw remake, basically.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that one is closer to it, but like just the idea, like the fucked up family, I think the first two. Well, even the shitty third one. Let's be honest. We'll probably never talk about that. But God. 3 from Hell.
I don't know what you're talking about. That movie doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus.
It should exist more than 31.
Fair. That's not a good movie either.
Yeah.
All right. So The Devil's Rejects, the sequel to House of 1,000 Corpses, was released in the summer. Like, how fucking weird is that? July 22nd, 2005. Written and directed by the guy we were just talking about, Rob Zombie, the dirty word in Ryan's world on the internet. I'm not going to tell you about movies he's done. We always do that stuff. Here are some Rob Zombie solo album titles that I found very amusing. The first one is just weird, and it sounds like it could be like a soft rock artist. Educated Horses. That does not sound like a Rob Zombie album title, but it is. Now, these ones sound like Rob Zombie album titles. Venomous Rat, Regeneration Vendor. Okay, I think he just has like word salad going on. And then the Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy.
Dude, if there's not like a Rob Zombie song generator online.
Yeah, there should be.
There should be. Like, remember when they had the, like, get your Wu-Tang Clan member name?
Yes.
Like, there should definitely be a similar website for Rob Zombie song titles.
So if you're wondering story-wise where this fits in, this takes place in May of 1978. So this takes place 7 months after the events of House of 1,000 Corpses, which took place, I think, the day before Halloween of 1977.
Otis grew a pretty significant beard in 7 months.
That's an insane 7-month beard.
Yeah. I mean, but that's coming from a guy who to get what you see on my chin would take me about a year and a half.
I grew a pretty good beard, and I could not do anything like that guy does, like in 7 months. That's an impossibility.
That's a significant beard. That's like an Abraham Lincoln. That's a long. That's a Little House on the Prairie beard. Like,
that is certainly. And can I say something about the Otis look? In a lot of movies, wigs to me are very obvious. I think his wig is pretty fucking good in this movie.
It's definitely a good piece.
It looks like real hair. Like I didn't know. I knew it wasn't Mosley's real hair, but I was reading in the making of that for this, he didn't do it for the first movie. For this movie, he shaved his head bald to make it easier for them to fit the wig onto him. But it's a good looking wig. Mm-hmm. This movie was filmed in California, Santa Clarita, which isn't that where The Lost Boys takes place?
Santa Carla.
Okay, I always forget that. L.A., Palmdale, and Lancaster. I'm sorry, was that Ryan?
I said it's a nice place.
Yeah.
All the damn vampires.
Exactly.
Murder capital of the world.
Yep.
There were 8 attempts to secure an R rating from an X rating or NC-17, whatever they called it at that point, through the MPAA. So on the 8th attempt, he got it cut down to the point where they could release this as an R film.
You know what they had to cut?
I'm assuming the terrifyingly shitty rape scene, probably.
It was a lot of the rape scene. He spent a lot of time editing and resubmitting poor Terry from Three's Company's rape scene. Like, why couldn't they got Joyce DeWitt in there, too? Like, I have a whole Three's Company situation. Suzanne Summers. And what was the other one? Man. The dumb one. Chrissy
Terry.
Was Suzanne Summers. No, Terry was the nurse. The middle one.
I know who. I picture her right in Cindy.
Cindy. You got it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We just did, me and Patrick, just did a couple weeks ago, Death Wish, which, like, let's just put it this way. There have been too many rape scenes on the Pint lately. That's
a rough, Was that the one under the bridge?
Under the pier? It's in the house. It's Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, don't say Jeff Goldblum's a boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm picturing it, but which I don't want to be.
No.
There was, I think that was a Dirty Harry. Maybe Sandra Locke was raped under a pier. I don't know. There's a lot of rape in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Too much on the Pint lately, but
yeah.
So this film, awards wise, no Oscars or anything, but the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, it was nominated for 10, it won 8, and the Scream Awards, it was nominated for 3, it won 2.
All right.
And then one more story note I wanted to point out, because I think this is kind of funny, because I know we talked about this a lot on the House of 1,000 Corpses episode.
Yeah.
Is that there was actually, and I saw bits of the deleted scenes, there were actually deleted scenes featuring Rosario Dawson as a nurse and Dr. Satan. They tried to jam Dr. Satan into this, and Rob Zombie said, the first movie, it barely made sense, but I was able to work it out. This movie's too grounded in reality, like that it just would make no
but
sense.
He's obviously the one who wrote it in. He's the writer-director, and he filmed the scenes. Like,
but I guess in his defense, he watched it and went, "What the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing here?" You know. So a little bit of Dr. Satan there. Just one more note I wanted to bring up here that I thought was kind of funny. In July of 2005, before this movie came out, a couple weeks, there was an album released that was recorded by Lou Temple, who plays Adam Banjo, one of the band members, but not Jeffrey Lewis, who plays the other band member, but a guy named Jesse Dayton, who was actually, I guess, the voice for Jeffrey Lewis's singing in the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. They actually released Banjo and Sullivan, The Ultimate Collection, 1972 to 1978. It's a real album, and it's those guys doing a bunch of different songs with some pretty funny titles. One of them is Dick Soup. One of them is I Don't Give a Truck. And then my favorite is, and I guess this is played in the credits of Devil's Rejects, I'm at home getting hammered while she's out getting nailed. So yeah, there's a whole fucking album out there from Banjo and Sullivan. So interesting stuff. All right, let's get into it. We're 7 months later after House of 1,000 Corpses, and we start off with a giant compound in the middle of nowhere. And the characters we knew from the first movie, including Otis and Baby, they're all sleeping, but they're doing it like their way, like with corpses, and there's just more mayhem. Right. Tiny.
I have like a body pillow that I like to snuggle when I'm sleeping. I mean, picture that at home. I like to snuggle my body pillow while I'm sleeping, but not a stinky corpse.
Not a corpse, no. Otis is kind of fucked up. Ryan, Tiny, the largest member of the family, what is he doing while all this is going on?
So he's dragging, I imagine it's one of Otis's leftovers that got a little too stinky and just sort of has to be taken out of the house. And he's dragging a body through the leaves. I guess it's like a wooded area, because when they show, it's supposed to be in, Alabama, I think.
They say Alabama.
They say Alabama at one point.
Yeah, I'm thinking Texas, because
I was going to say, but there's so much like desert in the movie, and so she's like being dragged through the woods or a wooded area, I guess, to be disposed of, and he takes a break to take his mask off, which I don't know, like stuff like that, like the little details of like, it's too hot dragging this body around.
Let me take my mask off.
Let me take my mask off and expose my Freddy Krueger face.
Oh, he looks so much like Freddy Krueger in this one.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, Tiny Krueger. Look at him.
The actor, Matthew McGrory, passed away before this came out, and it was dedicated to him. Oh my God.
That also wasn't him, Matthew McGrory, dragging the corpse, because he had hurt himself. So it was a stunt man that dragged the corpse. It was only Matthew McGrory. Imagine you have to put all that makeup on just to be in that one scene where you pull your fucking mask off.
Pull your mask off. And you're wearing a mask over your face, so that they probably could have two masks. You get two masks on. You're the two mask crew. Yeah. This just in special alert. I forgot to go over the cast, so let's inject that real quick here, and we'll get back to the story of the movie.
Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
All right, so here's the cast for this film. Sid Haig plays Captain Spaulding, a.k.a. they call him Cutter in this one a lot. You may know him from films such as Spider Baby, Jackie Brown, and Beware! The Blob. Bill Moseley plays Otis Driftwood. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, The Blob, 1988, and Army of Darkness. He is the Deadite captain in that film. Sherry Moon Zombie returns as Vera Ellen Firefly, a.k.a. Baby. Look, I could tell you what she's in, but just picture every Rob Zombie movie ever, and that's what she's in. So here's some factoids I'll give about her. She's a graduate of Plainville High School right here in Connecticut. Yep. And she also has a still operational clothing line called Total Skull. She opened it in 2006, and I guess it's still going.
I'll give you a factoid.
Yes.
I was there the night she met Rob Zombie for the first time.
Really?
Whoa.
Where was that?
That was at Toad's place when White Zombie opened up for Slayer.
Okay. All right.
Somebody had brought her to introduce her to Rob Zombie at that show. And that's where she met her.
It worked out.
It worked out.
It worked out. Yeah. He single-handedly
So I wasn't like in the room.
Right.
But I was in the
guy
club.
that introduced him.
I was not. I probably would have tried to hit on her myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked a lot about her ass in the last episode, and I think that's going to come up again once or twice here. Oh,
it may.
Yeah.
It's going to come up.
It's going to come up again. William Forsythe, the incredible William Forsythe, plays Sheriff John Quincy Wydell. You might know him from Dick Tracy, Stone Cold, which we were talking about before recording, and The Rock. I saw William Forsythe once at Rhode Island Comic-Con. He was sitting next to Michael Biehn, and Michael Biehn had people at his table. Forsythe was sitting at his table all alone reading a novel. And I just happened to walk by him, and he just happened to look at me, and I looked at him, and our eyes locked, and I said, man, you are awesome, and you make like everything you're in better. And he just, in the very William Forsythe voice, went, thank you very much. And that was it. He nodded at me and went back to his book, but he is great. And just make sure you never, ever, ever say anything bad about Elvis Aaron Presley around Sheriff Wydell, because he'll kick the shit out of you. Ken Foray plays Charlie Altamont, who is apparently the brother of Captain Spaulding, which raises all kinds of race questions, but it's okay. It's okay. It's 2024. It doesn't matter. You could be what you want to be.
That was 1978. So.
You could be what you want to be. Halloween 2007. He plays the great role of Joe Grizzly from Beyond, where he wears a football shirt that comes up just to about his nipples. Yep. And of course, the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead. Jeffrey Lewis, Juliette Lewis's father and a longtime collaborator of Clint Eastwood, plays Roy Sullivan. High Plains Drifter, Night of the Comet. That movie sucks, Larry. You showed that one. Oh, that movie sucks. I love that movie as a kid. I used to watch it on HBO all the time, and I just realized now it was just because I was a kid and I liked the two girls in the lead. That movie's not good.
It's also a great 45 minutes.
Yes, there's stuff in it. Yes, you're right about that, Ryan. And he's also
from Little House on the Prairie.
Of course, everybody was. I don't say.
And Salem's Lot.
I was just going to say Salem's Lot.
Ooh, Salem's Lot.
Which I still have never seen.
Whoa.
Yeah, never.
Just go straight to Return to Salem's Lot.
No.
I know. I will be watching. We're going to be doing an episode, I think, on the Patreon for the new one. So, yeah, I think we're going to check that out because that's this week, I think, right?
Oh, great.
That's this week.
I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
I invited you, but you said you couldn't make it because it's you and Jen's anniversary.
I know. So crazy. God.
Oh.
Sorry, Jen. I know it's our 16-year anniversary, but I've got to be on the pint.
I got to go talk
about some fucking probably dreadful Salem's Lot remake again.
Yeah.
Another fucking dreadful one.
Priscilla Barnes plays Gloria Sullivan. She was Terry on Three's Company. Remember the way she lifted her leg up in the intro when she's pretending to be the flamingo? Me too.
Remember when she had 3 nipples and Mallrats?
That was my next note. Mallrats, 3 nipples. And she was also in the James Bond film License to Kill.
All right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Dalton. Wow.
Timothy Dalton. She's his friend's bride who gets murdered that sends him on his rage in that movie.
Dude, I probably haven't seen that since HBO in the 80s.
I got the whole box set of all the Bond films a couple years ago for during COVID.
I'm not a huge Bond guy. Officer Mike is. I don't know if you know that.
Oh no, I know he is
Bond guy.
Yeah. All right, 2 more. Danny Trejo plays Rondo, one of what were they called? The 2 from the Unholy 2?
Yeah, something.
Danny Trejo plays Rondo, and then Billy Ray Snapper is played by Diamond Dallas Page, who looks like his eyes have been surgically opened forever.
Bang!
In this movie, his eyes look like they've been pinned open and glued open.
That's just his face.
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing about yoga. You can't do it on your face.
Danny Trejo was in Spy Kids, Desperado, and then finally, just to throw in someone who I forgot was in this movie because he's in it for such a short period of time and you never clearly see his face. And he was a recent guest at CT Horror Fest playing RJ Firefly. And I think he's took over the role from someone else, right, Larry?
Yeah, it was Mukes.
Yes. Robert Mukes is Tyler Mane. You might know him as Sabretooth from X-Men and Deadpool and Wolverine, and also as Michael Myers and Rob Zombie's fucking Halloween. I couldn't think of the word. All right, let's get back to it.
If you're going to say that, let's not forget that Kane Hodder's in the movie too.
Gas mask police officer, it said?
Yeah, well, he was a stunt coordinator, so they threw a gas mask on him during the opening raid, and he's one of those cops.
Okay, well, that's perfect, because that leads us right back into the beginning. So Tiny's dragging this body across the yard. They're all sleeping and having a good time. The mother, who's not Karen Black anymore, who is now Leslie Easterman from Police Academy.
Yes.
Boy, when I was a young boy,
she was good.
She was good.
She was good.
She was good. When I was like 9 years old watching HBO and watching Police Academy, I truly never understood why I wanted her to jump on my face with her thighs and squeeze my face. But like, I knew that there was I figured it out much later. So as they're all sleeping and just kind of chilling with their corpses, all of a sudden we just get all these police vehicles surrounding the place, and Sheriff Wydell comes out and basically tells them, you're fucking surrounded. Besides being a lawman, Ryan, why is Wydell so invested in getting the Firefly family?
So in the first one, his brother, who I guess is another sheriff, I guess it just runs in the family, or was he a deputy?
It doesn't matter. It's a fucking cop.
Another cop, a much fatter one. Visited the Firefly house to see what was going on, and ended up being seduced and killed by not Leslie Easterbrook.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The great Tom Towles. Another really good actor.
Yeah, he shows up later in this in a bit recurrent part.
That's right. Yes, he does.
Yeah. I live here now. That's a good line. Wydell sees him in like this dream, and where he's like kind of stuck in the in between. But so the cop just tells him, "We're doing this. We're blasting," and taken right out of history. If you know anything about Ned Kelly, the Australian bush robber from the 1800s, he very famously made like this like armor that he wore in a shootout with the cops. He survived, but that's how he got taken in. And all the Firefly family just start throwing on like all these fucking like buckets and shit and start pulling guns.
You know what it looks heavy.
It looks very heavy.
Yeah.
It looks very heavy. And a giant firefight ensues, Larry, where it's just cops and Fireflies blasting each other from the windows.
And lots of dinging noises. Ding, ding.
Yeah.
Like, picture like when you're at the carnival and you shoot the little metal target that's going by on the duck. Bing, bing. That's all you hear because they're shooting their fucking stove, like coal stove, bulletproof vests.
So eventually they throw some tear gas in there, and in the firefight, they end up killing the Tyler Mane character, RJ. The cops end up basically ambushing him inside and just shooting the shit out of him. But Larry, what happens with Otis and Baby?
RJ gets killed. Mama Firefly, instead of escaping with Baby and Otis, rushes over and tries to comfort RJ while he's dying, and she ends up getting caught. But Otis and Baby go downstairs where you see the cheerleaders are still locked up. Some of the cheerleaders are still locked up there, screaming. Very, zombies under the stairs and people under the stairs, like hanging out under the stairwell. And then they escape through some sewer pipe to the soothing sounds of the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, Midnight Rider.
Great fucking song.
It is. I actually, years ago, pre-pandemic, Lloyd and myself did an episode with Kurt Spieler.
The Record Drops episode.
Yeah.
I gave you a couple.
This was one of my favorites. This opening scene where they're escaping.
Yeah, we're gonna skip way far ahead for 1 second. Everybody talks about the Freebird. To me, I like the Allman Brothers drop better.
Oh, me too.
I think it's just a great opening. Like it's weird that it almost gives me chills because I don't particularly love the movie. But that's what a good song does.
Yeah.
A good fitting song will do that regardless of the movie.
It's actually a great opening credit scene because it all leads up with The
I
mother.
could have done without the Texas Chainsaw Massacre voiceover with the words on the screen. It's like, okay, we know that you're influenced by the Texas. We all are. All right. Anybody who makes a horror movie that is influenced by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whether they know it or not, you don't have to keep doing it. Stop. Could have just started the movie.
I particularly liked the bit in the house where the cops surround the mother and she pulls the gun on herself and threatens to kill herself and clearly goes through with it, but it's the bullet, the gun is empty, no bullets. And then it just kind of freeze frames on the Devil's Rejects like logo.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts. And then the Allman Brothers starts from there.
Kick in.
And they escape. They end up killing a nurse. They pretend to play possum.
That was fucked up.
Yeah, well, they're fucked up.
Just take the car.
They're fucked up.
Just take the car. You don't need to kill her.
Yeah. No,
I know.
This movie, there's something that I don't know what it is about, like, I get it when people like are like, oh, I love Jason and all that. And because there's kind of like a revenge factor to Jason. These people are just fucking shit. Like all right,
listen, Ryan, earmuffs, because I know that you like Rob Zombie. The dude cannot write a likable character. It is fucking impossible for him to write a character that has any sort of redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be a raging fucking scumbag, including the people supposed to be the good guys, the cops. Everybody's got to be a raging scumbag in his universe.
I was going to make that point that William Forsythe is the worst character in the movie.
Yes.
By worst, I mean like maybe the most evil.
Yeah.
Like, he's a bad guy.
Right. And you want to side with him because he's out for revenge for his brother. I get that. But then he just turns into like a torturing fucking asshole. Like, I'm like, if you're out, listen, if somebody killed my brother, yeah, I'd probably shoot them in the fucking head. But would I like drive nails through their fucking hands and staple pictures to their stomach and then light them on fire? Probably not. That probably might be a little too much. You know what I mean? The guy he just can't write a likable character.
I don't think he's
with any redeeming moral qualities.
I don't think he's a likable character, but I do think like what he does to them, to me, doesn't cross a line other than a moral line for him.
Yeah.
But because he just wants to inflict all the pain they've inflicted on people back to them. So like, I'm not saying that's necessarily what I would do, but like there certainly is a level of wish fulfillment. Like, and we do this on the show all the time. Skip ahead. He kills the mother, like in like custody, right? Like he fucking stabs her right in the stomach. And then, like you said,
well, that's because his brother told him to in the fever dream.
Yeah. So they escape, and then we get a scene. Ryan, I want you to describe in absolute just depth.
How much detail do we got to go into?
Go right into detail with how we meet up with Captain Spaulding.
Oh, so good.
So I've met Sid Haig on a couple different occasions at different conventions and stuff, and he's genuinely one of the nicest people.
Best.
Just in the world. Like, I mean, rest in peace. I love the guy. He's just an incredible person. And watching this scene again and just seeing his naked ass getting ridden, and I'm like, oh man. And the teeth that he's got in, the close-ups on his teeth with the makeup. So Captain Spaulding is what appears to be letting this prostitute have it. And then he calls her a prostitute, and she doesn't take kindly to that and decides to pull out a gun and put it into his mouth, basically. And that's when he wakes up and you find out that he's not with this extremely attractive prostitute. He's with his girlfriend, I assume, is who this person is. And she's not, let's just say, not on the same scale as the person he was dreaming he was with.
She's on a scale, that's for sure.
She's on a scale. But man, the visual of just seeing him just pumping.
Yeah. Was that Ginger Lynn? That was Ginger Lynn, right?
It's a porn star of some sort.
Yeah, that was Ginger Lynn. Yeah. Charlie Sheen's ex-girlfriend.
Yep.
So Ginger Lynn disappears from the dream, and then we get this larger woman who clearly just wants to fuck a guy, like a septuagenarian in clown makeup and the dirtiest fucking tighty whities I've ever seen in my fucking life. to the point where she's so desperate to bang him, and all he wants to do is take a leak. Does he call her like a spastic mongoloid? What does he call her?
Yeah. He said something like that. He's like, you're bouncing around like a spastic mongoloid. Oh, so he's not very kind to her.
He's very excited to see his new commercial for his fried chicken and horror history of horror ride that we talked about in the House of 1,000 Corpses episode. But then all of a sudden he sees that what's happened at the ranch. And now in the first movie, we never really got any kind of real
connection
other
until
than
the very end
when he shows up in the car. So now we find out when he leaves to go find out what's going on, that he is, to get through this, he's Baby's father. He's not Otis's father, because I think they might be almost like the same age, but he's Baby's father. And he's going to go find out what's been going on with them. So as he's going to find out what's happening, they've escaped, and they end up at like a five and dime motel, where at the same time, this traveling country band called Banjo and Sullivan, Jeffrey Lewis and Lou Temple and Priscilla Barnes and Lou Temple's girlfriend and Brian Posen, the stand-up comedian, are all getting a room. And in a super uncomfortable scene, Jeffrey Lewis's character runs into Baby. And I got to admit, though, if a good-looking woman said the line that she says to him, that he asked her to repeat, I'd probably ask her to repeat it too. When she says, I bet all the girls would like to fuck you. And he's just like, say that again. I'm like, you know what? I relate to that. Can you say that again? So she basically seduces him with her little ways, but then ends up turning on him and saying, well, my brother's going to blow your fucking head off. So they end up all back in the motel room. Here's something about this movie that I haven't seen this movie in a while that I kind of always forget every time I see it. Is the motel room is not that long of a scene, but it feels like it. Like when you think of this movie, I think that's the scene that maybe sticks out the most because it's like pretty fucking terrifying and pretty horrible. But it's only like, a fucking eighth of the movie. It's not very long at all.
But a lot happens in that room.
A lot happens. So let's go through kind of what happens. They just start terrorizing these people. Brian Posen's character comes back with Dr. Octopus's beef jerky or some shit he's all excited about. They pop him right in the fucking head.
Right off they're just like, hey, come on in, bing.
Right off the bat.
Shoot him right in the fucking head in front of everybody. But I mean, I guess you gotta send a message, right? You gotta let the people in the room know that you're not afraid to use your weapon. And
to get through this part as quick as possible in one way of this psychological warfare and terror, Otis decides to humiliate basically the Jeffrey Lewis and Priscilla Barnes character by forcing himself on her in front of her husband. It's a shit scene. I mean, I get it. You've got to convey how fucked these people are. Again, this movie tries to make these people the protagonists, and they are the protagonists by definition. Do people get behind them? Are there people that are like rooting for the Devil's Rejects when they watch this movie? Like I'm rooting for Wydell, even though he's fucked up. I want him to catch them.
That's my problem, John. There is no one to root for.
I know. Ryan, do you feel the same way? Like it's just all up in the air. There's nobody to fucking say, I want this person to win, that person to win.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because without a doubt, they're all bad people. Everyone's a bad person in this. The only thing I will say, and to give credit to Rob Zombie's writing, this is one of his only movies where I feel there are actual character arcs for the main characters. And even, except for maybe Baby, that's very little. There's like one scene where she you see the real Baby a little bit, but like you sort of see the transition from each of them, but it's only in their interactions with each other.
Okay.
Everyone else in the world doesn't matter. They could kill, they could rape, they could maim. It doesn't matter. But as the way they interact with each other is where the character arcs actually happen in this.
I get what you're saying. So like you're talking about like even like the ice cream conversation.
The ice cream, or when they get to the whorehouse later on in the movie.
Right. They clearly care about each other.
Yes. And you see that. I don't know if it develops, but it becomes more obvious as the movie goes on. And you're like, oh, okay, there's like one redeeming quality that they have if you feel like you like family. I don't know. But yeah, I know there are people that absolutely, completely 100% root for the Fireflies to like make it out of the film alive because they want more. They want,
Banjo and Sullivan are the only people in this movie to root for, and they get fucking decimated. So let's get into that a little bit. I'll split you guys off and let you each talk about one section of it. Ryan, why don't you go through Otis's trip with the guys out to the I guess like the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, I actually really like that scene. Mostly because I think Bill Moseley gets to just chew up as much scenery he's allowed to. He doesn't have to be held back by anybody. And I think he loves this character so much. Like if you've ever met him, he loves playing Otis. Like he just wants to get into that zone. And when he takes the two guys, the husband of I should have wrote his name down and I didn't.
Just call him Jeffrey Lewis.
Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey Lewis is like the leader of the group, and then there's the younger husband. I can't remember his name.
Lou Temple. Banjo.
Yes. Takes them out to supposedly, quote unquote, dig up some guns that he has buried. They go out in there and they're having a conversation as they're walking through this dusty path, and Bill Moseley's just abusing them as they go along. And he gets caught in one of his rants where he starts just mouthing off, sort of explaining how he's the greatest person in the world, and just gets cold clocked with a 2x4. Knocks him down, drops the gun. There's a struggle. Unfortunately, the two good guys just can't seem to get their shit together. And Bill Moseley is able to get the gun aimed, blows a hole in Banjo's neck, and then turns his attention back to the old man on the ground, Jeffrey Lewis, and just pummels him to death with a big stick that he finds.
What does Jeffrey Lewis say? Like blessed all the bunnies, blessed.
Yeah. He tells him, "I want you to pray to whatever God you believe in to stop me from what I'm about to do." And Jeffrey Lewis just he comes up with, I don't know if he's actually supposed to be an atheist in the movie, and he doesn't like have a God to pray to, but he's like, "Oh, the bunnies and flowers," and he's just saying like, I don't know, nonsense.
It's pretty powerful because it's actually pretty pathetic. Like, because that there's nothing that's going to save him. And Otis has the line, right?
Otis has he's already told them.
He told them, yeah.
He's like, "You're going to die. This is it. This is the end of the road."
Yeah.
And he has his most famous line, which is, I believe, taken from actual real life killings from the Manson family.
The line's repeated in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by
Tex line.
Tex says it's the Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Well, like, in real life,
I am the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's work.
Yeah.
Right after he prays to his God, and the two of them don't make it out of there. So
So Larry, we go back to the hotel room where the wife and girlfriend are.
Yeah,
and baby is uncomfortable.
They're chilling on the bed.
Chinese, sturdy knees, Japanese. Look at these.
That was such a weird fucking scene. So they're chilling on the bed, and baby's just sitting in a chair in the corner, like fucking with her knife. And Lou Temple's girlfriend is like, "I got to go to the bathroom," and baby's just fucking ignoring her. So finally, baby's like, "Listen, if you're going to go to the bathroom, you got to do something for me." And you're like, she makes her slap Priscilla Barnes. Like, she's like, "You got to hit her." She's just dehumanizing people. That's all it's about, like dehumanizing the people. So she slaps her or whatever. She lets her go to the bathroom. She's like, "Don't try any fucking funny business." As soon as she gets in the bathroom, she starts trying funny business, right? She's trying to break a window. I think she breaks the window with the back of the toilet.
Yeah.
Or something. So now baby's trying to get in the fucking, get in the door, and Priscilla Barnes sees her, sees her chance because baby left a gun behind, and she grabs the gun, points it at baby, and baby's like, "You're not gonna fucking shoot me." She's like, and then something distracts her. I don't remember what, and she throws a knife right into her fucking chest because apparently baby is a circus trained knife thrower. Just fucking hucks it right into her heart. And then as a last, like, fuck you to Terry from Three's Company, she shows her that the fucking gun was empty anyway. There was no fucking bullets in that gun. And is that the end of that scene, or does
so Lou Temple's girlfriend gets out of the window and starts to run away.
Oh, that's right. And then she
runs into Captain Spaulding.
She runs into Captain Spaulding's forehead with her face.
Right.
Because he headbutts her right in the fucking face.
He headbutts her, brings her in. We missed this, we jump around, but like I could not mention the scene where Captain Spaulding steals the car and taunts the little kid.
It's one of the best scenes in the whole fucking movie.
What's the fucking matter, kid? You don't like fucking clowns?
Aren't we fucking funny?
We make you laugh?
Yeah, and that's after he dropped a left hook on PJ Souls.
Yes, he knocked her right the fuck out.
Yeah,
he knocked her right the fuck out.
Yeah, that's one of the best scenes in the whole fucking movie. Listen, and I'll save that to the end. I had something to say, but I'll save it to the end. I just want to. I think my feelings are known about this movie. I don't think I'm hiding anything.
All right. Well, we'll get there.
On that knife throw is without a doubt the worst effect in the entire movie, and so distracting to watch because it's like this horrible CGI effect. And I'm like, come on, man, you couldn't like glue the hilt of a knife onto her chest.
Right.
And have act like just synthetic blood. Like you couldn't do that. We had to make a CGI knife stick out. That's awful.
Right.
I did read that like all the bullet holes in this movie, all of the cuts.
Oh, you could tell.
Yeah.
Because this is still, it's 20 years ago. CGI has come a long way. You can clearly tell what's CGI and what's not. There's a lot of blood flying around that just looks just like that's not real.
Yeah,
that wasn't there.
There's some of that in the end. In
the fire too. A lot of the fire when the house is burning, or like that looks fucking awful.
That's not fire.
That's not fire. That's a computer.
So this is where we realize that Captain Spaulding and is father of baby, and Otis comes back. He's wearing Adam Banjo's face as a mask, so he really fucks up the girlfriend with that. Then he takes it off and puts it on her.
Yeah.
They hang her in a corner of a room by her wrists.
My mother hung me on a hook once.
Once, Johnny. Once. And then they decide they're going to take off. Their plan is they're going to go to the now remember, the racially not the same brother of Captain Spaulding, Charlie Altamont's whorehouse.
I don't think we find out he's a brother until later, until they're there.
Yeah, they just talk on the phone a few times.
They just say they're going to Charlie Altamont's, and Otis is like, I don't like that fucking dude.
Yeah, Otis doesn't.
He's like, well, you don't like anybody. Like,
is Charlie Altamont Lando Calrissian in this movie? Like, because
pretty much it's the same exact arc.
It's the same arc.
Yeah,
like we'll talk about it. He sells them out to Wydell and to the Unholy Two, and he brings them to this like kind of like this nice paradise to have their last little fun night.
Right.
He's Lando Calrissian,
and then tries to rescue them. Like it's the exact same fucking arc.
Look, Ryan, it is a paradise. If you want to fuck Dottie from Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure,
I wrote that down as my note.
Yeah, absolute paradise, and one of the daughters from fucking Too Close for Comfort, right? So
yes, Warriors, whatever,
from the Warriors, Deborah Van Valkenburg.
Yeah.
So
she went from the orphans to being a whore and fucking
like that. So they go there to kind of lay low.
You see what you get when you mess with the orphans.
They go there to chill out. Meanwhile, Wydell has his deputy has done some incredible detective work and determined that there might be a connection.
Fucking scene drives me nuts.
It's bad
every time I see it. And you know what's funny is it's so bad that I forget it.
Yeah,
I think I intentionally force it out of my fucking head, and then every time I see the movie again, I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot about this.
So
god awful. Nonsensical fucking scene.
The deputy determines that the names that they've been using when they're going through all the paperwork in the house, and they found over 75 bodies, and it's a massacre house, right? They find paperwork and they're like, oh, we figured out that one of these names correlates to a Groucho Marx character. So like just going on that alone, Wydell is like, get that fucking movie critic over here.
Because every cop has a movie critic in their fucking Rolodex.
So I'm saying is like, has he used this guy before? Was there a Burt Reynolds related crime he needed him for?
Listen, I know you got a guy who flies a helicopter. You got a guy who probably has like bloodhounds to like catch a scent.
Yeah.
But a fucking movie critic?
Yeah, the movie guy,
yeah. So he brings the movie.
Brian, why aren't cops calling me for anything? I know movies.
Not yet. Not yet. Maybe they will after this.
Maybe. You're right. That's probably possible.
Yeah. Not only is he the movie guy, he is the foremost Marx Brother expert, like, in the world, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And he
living in that town, very convenient.
it was super convenient.
Not a phone call. It's not like a phone call to a guy in like fucking San Francisco. It's a guy who lives in that town.
Yeah. Who also has a Groucho Marx mustache. Like, this is all, everything's coming up Wydell. So he this scene should have been cut out of the movie, but the guy shows
should
up.
have never been filmed, John.
Well,
Should have been written.
It would have been a great
never
deleted scene to be like, oh, thank God that wasn't in the movie. But
I don't ever want to see it again.
he shows up and he ends up, kind of confirming that, yes, all these names, Firefly and Driftwood, these are all Marx Brothers. But then he goes off on a tangent, which is obviously something Rob Zombie feels, and he's just using it as his mouthpiece. But Ryan, what is his tangent all about? What is he so angry about with Groucho's legacy?
Well, he's not respected. And worst of all, that he died exactly 3 days after that hack Elvis. That sets Wydell off. Like, you might as well have just spit on his mom's grave.
Yeah.
He loses it. Absolutely loses it.
If you ever say that about Elvis Aaron Presley again in my vicinity, I'll fucking kill you. And then he's like, get him the fuck out of here. So now it's a mystery that didn't need to be solved, right? Like we know who these characters are. They're murderers. You don't really.
But how about the other cop who's like, we need to get this Groucho Marx on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. All right. Let's get past that. So we find out that Wydell has hired a couple of bounty hunters, the Unholy Two, Diamond Dallas Page, aka
The dude he didn't give anybody a diamond cutter in this whole fucking movie.
He didn't.
How are you going to have DDP in your movie and not A, have Kimberly, or B, let him fucking do a diamond cutter?
He does throw Otis through a fucking window, though.
He does throw
pretty
Otis
good.
through a fucking window. DDP's not a small guy.
No,
So-
and he has yoga eyes, so
He does have, yeah.
So they've been checking the place out, and they're coming back to Wydell and saying, yes, they're there. We get to see a little bit of day-to-day life at the whorehouse, and another scene that really doesn't need to be in the movie is the chicken fucker scene with Michael Berryman.
It's funny though.
It is funny, but it's also just
you're right. It has no bearing.
It literally is a fan service connection for when he says, my brother makes the best fried chicken, to the first movie where his whole thing is he gives away fried chicken at the end of his ride. Like, right. I think that's it. I think it's like, oh, we got to have like a fan service moment. But yeah, so we see that, but we know that Otis doesn't trust this Charlie guy. Right. So they're hanging out there. Otis is chilling out with Dottie from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. They seem to have a thing going on.
See, you know what I always pin on her? You know who she is to me? She's the hooker that ripped off fucking Al Bundy and Dutch.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't a huge Pee-wee's guy.
Oh, I love Pee-wee.
Dutch is one of my fucking favorite movies. So that's who. What's her name? E.G. Daly or something?
E.G. Daly.
Like that?
She is a voice
she's always
actress.
that. Yeah. Which, I mean, listen to the fucking voice.
Yeah.
But like her and that fucking other cute broad rip off Al Bundy and Ethan Embry and Dutch.
That's
nothing
burps like bacon.
It's such a great movie.
It is. It is a good movie.
You know it's a John Hughes movie, right?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I do.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yep. Yeah. They end up
burps like bacon.
Nothing burps like bacon.
Remember, he punches Shooter McGavin in the head at the end.
Yes.
It's his pinky ring.
His pinky ring.
Shooter McGavin's Joe Beth Williams' new boyfriend, right?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Or no,
Joe Beth Williams. It is Joe Beth Williams. You're right.
No, Joe Beth Williams is.
Or he's Al Bundy's the new boyfriend.
The new boyfriend. He's the father.
He's Ethan Embry's father.
Yes, the dickhead
which is
guy.
just crazy that's Ethan Embry. But
yeah, I think that was when he was Ethan Randall. That's how long ago.
Was he really?
Yeah, he changed his name. I think maybe around the time of That Thing You Do. When he was TBP or whatever, the bass player.
The bass player.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up because he has a name in the movie. They use his name in the movie.
I don't know if they do.
Oh, I'll fucking prove it to you.
Okay.
They certainly do.
All right.
And for some reason right now, I can't remember it, but they certainly say
the
his
second
name.
bass player is the Wolfman.
The Wolfman, Scott
Yeah.
Culp.
Yes.
Right. That's one of my favorite movies.
Well, I've been wanting to do that movie forever. You want to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Book it. It's done.
But have you seen the director's cut?
Yes, where you find out that Howie Long is Tom Hanks' boyfriend.
lover. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And the bass player, Ethan Embry, gets it on with the girl from the Chantrellines or whatever the city.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They in the hotel room.
Yes. In the regular version, they kind of like, they allude to it, but they never say anything. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So
what a weird tangent.
It was a tangent. It was good though. I feel good about it. All right. So for this part, Ryan, I want you to direct us now. Where are we? Yeah, we're there.
I think we're on tour with the Wonders.
Yeah, the Oneaters.
Yeah. There, as in, I wonder what happened to the Oneaters.
Yes, they're having some R&R at the fancy ass whorehouse, and Wydell has Wydell. He's interrogating the mother. He's interrogating the mother.
Yeah.
Okay, give us this. Give us the interrogation scene.
So there's a couple of little scenes. Early on, he does a quick interrogation with her, and she gives him nothing, basically, just ends up turning the interrogation around and pissing him off when she reveals that she's the reason his brother's dead and knows details about that. So he loses his mind. Later on, I think around the time we're talking now in the movie, he has an alcohol-induced hallucination where he sees his brother trapped still in the Firefly's house. And the brother tells him, "Oh, this is where I live now. And you've got to," what does he say? He says, like, you've got to finish it. You've got to take care of it. He says something along those lines, implying like kill them all.
Right. Like he's stuck there until he avenges him.
Yes. He's like, "This is where I live now. I can't," that's what he says. Like, "This is where I live now. I can't leave here." So Wydell takes it upon himself to start the process, goes to the jail cell, relieves the deputy on duty who's watching Mother Firefly, goes in there, pins her up against the wall, and in a very erotic manner, just like gets really up close to her. And you don't know if he's going to kill her or if he's going to like bang her. He ends up, sticking her, but he ends up sticking her with a big Bowie knife, and essentially guts her out. And like, this is the point, oh, this guy's fucking snapped. He's gone.
It's actually a really good scene for the fact that she clearly thinks she has the upper hand on him.
Yes.
He's not going to do nothing to her. And when he stabs her, the look on her face is like, "Oh, fuck. This dude has crossed over."
And I think that's where I think Leslie Easterbrook does, like, I know she's a replacement actor. She's taken over for Karen Black, but I think this scene, she does really good in it. And, it really makes you like, oh, actually she's not bad. It makes you question whether Karen Black would have been as good, doing the same type of thing. I'm sure she would be, but it wasn't disappointing.
Karen Black wanted more money.
Yeah, you're right. She doesn't. There was no point. I remember when they announced Karen Black wasn't coming back, and I was like, "Oh, that's gonna fucking suck." But there was no point that I actually missed her. Like, Leslie Easterbrook is great. She does a great job. So,
yeah, is it one of those few occasions where you replace an actor and they're as good, possibly better?
Yeah, it is pretty seamless. So at this point, he has hired the Unholy Two to scope out the place. They come to him and tell him that yes, they are hanging out there. So he decides with them to go and to essentially raid the house, with the help of Charlie Altamont, who is also in on it. They're getting high. They're having sex. They're completely not ready for what's about to happen. We didn't mention it earlier, but this is the part where I'll mention Baby's ass twice. In the early part of the movie when they're escaping, her pants are falling down quite a bit and she has to keep pulling her jeans up and we get a little shot of her ass. And then in this scene when Danny Trejo shows up behind her in the bathtub and she stands up in the bathtub, I like the fact that when she stands up in the bathtub, he gets distracted by her ass. Like, even though he's like this all business dude that's just there to kill her, he actually, when she stands up and he looks and she turns around and he's like, for a minute, he doesn't know what to do. Diamond Dallas Page with his yoga eyes throws Otis out the window, and he also kills the E.G. Daily character. She pulls a gun on him and does nothing. to the point where he has enough time to draw his gun and shoot her between the eyes.
Well, that was like the fucking Terry from Three's Company scene when she didn't know the gun wasn't loaded, but she also never fucking fired it.
Right.
Would you stop to talk?
Yeah, no.
I would immediately, any normal person would have immediately picked up that gun and shot her in the fucking face.
Right. Especially
there's no need to talk about anything.
Right. Especially in the Terry.
I'm not trying to get you to surrender.
Right. Especially in the case of the Banjo character, or the Sullivan character, whatever she is, the Terry from Three's Company, she's been raped.
Right.
Like this has already gone way too fucking far. There is no.
I'm sure at some level she knows that her fucking husband is dead.
Right. Oh,
I'm sure she knows that he's not coming back from that fucking walk with that fucking maniac who raped her.
Right. Yeah.
So you pick up the gun, you immediately fucking fire it.
Yeah.
Like the rest of that scene is just, it doesn't make sense.
So E.G. Daly's dead.
Yep.
And also the Valkenburg Warriors lady, she gets her throat slit by Danny Trejo. So at this point, Wydell takes them all back where, Ryan?
Back to where it all began, the Firefly House.
And he's got them all tied up. And this is the kind of the revenge portion of the film. He starts to take 8x10s of evidence pictures of the bodies. And he's like using one of those industrial, like when I was a kid and my mom we would go to Caldors. And then they would put your item in the paper bag and then wrap the paper bag and then put the receipt on it. They would use that staple gun. You know, remember what I'm talking about? They use that big staple gun to staple the receipt to the bag. And he's using that to fucking pump these photos onto like their chests and shit. He's also going fucking full bore with a electric cattle prod on them. And, and he's just going off on them. But then where does it turn in terms of at what point does he set the place on fire and where
he decides to let baby go so he can basically hunt her.
He's going to hunt her, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's the most dangerous game or some shit. Like he's like, all right, I'm going to let you go and I'm going to fucking set these other two assholes on fire.
Right. And before he does that, he nails Otis to the chair.
Right.
Just drives those big old nails right through his hands.
Not Spaulding for some reason, but just Otis.
He's an old man.
I guess. He seems like he can probably handle himself though.
This is another scene where you get a little bit of their actual characters and Spaulding is not breaking down, but he's like, no, I killed that one. Don't do anything to her. That was me.
Telling
that
baby
was me.
to shut up. He's like, shut up.
Like that's what I mean. He doesn't care about anyone else in the world. It's only his family that he cares about, which that's the one, I'm not going to say saving factor, but it's the one positive thing about their characters.
Yeah. They have their own code, which they're true to, sure. So he sets the house on fire and he leaves them to die. Right. But he goes after baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
he's like hunting her.
He's hunting her, chases her outside. He's about to kill her. He's got her dead to rights. And it's a great movie scene. It's a great, like, oh shit. Like first time you see it, you're not expecting that. You think he's about to get her. And, Ryan, what happens to him all of a sudden?
And then out of nowhere, where everyone forgot, Grandpa from the first one comes out. No, he's never brought up again.
No. His comedy act is better not to be brought up again.
Fuck you. That's my favorite part of the whole fucking House with 1,000 Corpses. I fucking love that guy. You're in the pussy. Yeah. Fucking love that guy.
I did miss him. The first time I saw this movie, I'm like, where the fuck is he?
Yeah,
and then I'm like, wait, did he die? I'm like, I had to go back and watch House of 1,000 Corpses again to be like, what happened?
Yeah, no, they just didn't mention they could. I mean, the actor was dead, but they could have replaced him. I don't know. I guess we're supposed to believe that he died in those 7 months as Otis grew that beard.
7 months, one longer beard, and one less grandpa. Who actually does dispatch of Wydell, Ryan?
Oh, it was Tiny grabs him and just spins his head around backwards.
Yeah.
And saves the day.
But that was after Charlie Altamont tried to save Charlie Lando Calrissian. Yeah. He came in with his Lando
moment,
and tried to save baby. But then he got the old Jack Nicholson treatment, the old Scatman Crothers treatment with the fucking axe to the chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a whole pick. It was so poof.
Yeah.
Suckers in there.
You're right. He full Lando arc. He tries to save them at the end. Yep. And even though Lando lived, Lando did get picked up by Chewie, like by the fucking neck. Yeah. So they're now all basically half dead. Their house is on fire. Charlie's dead. So they end up taking Charlie's car and just kind of.
However, Tiny goes back into the house.
Tiny walks back into the fiery house.
He hasn't had enough fire on him.
Yeah.
I guess he decided he wants more. And Otis is like, "We'll come back for you." He's going into a burning house.
Yeah. You're gonna come back to a big pile of fucking burnt embers of a fucking 7'8" tall guy. There's nothing there. So they leave and they drive off and they essentially kind of just like end up falling asleep on the road. Now, I've heard some fan theories that say like they die at that point, and then the actual next bit is like supposed to be some kind of like almost like fever dream or like how they wanted to go out. But they're all fucked up. They've been stapled. They've been tased. They've been fucking hunted. They're at their weakest, but they decide that they're not going to go out like this, and the cops are setting up a giant barricade for them because they basically got them bottlenecked. So Otis decides to give a couple of guns out to the other members. And how do they go out? How do they go out? What song brings them out?
Oh, they go out in a blast of Leonard Skinner in that Ronnie Van Zant classic Freebird.
Yeah.
It's a great scene. It really is. Listen, Rob Zombie knows music. You know, he knows how to pick a good song for a scene, and it really is a good scene, and frankly should have been the way the Firefly family ended. There was no need for a third movie. There's no way they would survive that drive towards that hail of bullets, the hail of CGI squibs that we saw them all take to the chest, torso, arms. Like, there's no way any of them would survive it. But it was a good scene. It was a good ending scene. The movie had a great opening and a great ending. Everything else in the middle, a little jumbled, but opening, closing, good job.
All right. Well, we'll give you a chance to tell us how you really feel in a couple minutes.
Sure.
All right. So that is The Devil's Rejects from 2005. Before we get to our rating segment, we've got a couple things to get out there. Number one is at the end of this week that this episode comes out, Larry will be showing House of 1,000 Corpses and The Devil's Rejects at his Connecticut Cult Classics show on October 19th, Saturday, October 19th. This is one, Larry, you said this is one that you've been asked about forever, right?
Oh, yeah, since the beginning. People have been asking me to show this. And I finally got fucking sick of hearing about it. So decided to go ahead and let them fucking have their fun. I'll hit play and fucking go somewhere and then come back when it's over. I'm kidding.
This is Nightmare 3, that's it.
Yeah,
I'll stay.
You'll stick. You won't go to laser tag, or is that after?
We'll see. I'll go hang out in the fucking Halloween dungeon a couple tours down.
There you go. So I'll
go there.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet either.
You have to, especially this night. They're setting up. The whole place is going to be set up in coordination with this night.
All right, I definitely want to check it out. Yeah. If you haven't been out to any of the, this is spooky season as they call it. If you haven't been to some of the places that are kind of affiliated with Cult Classics, such as Weirdo Wonderland, that's a great place. What town is that? I always forget.
That's Shelton.
Shelton. Okay. I always want to say Stratford. It's Shelton. Nope,
that's Shelton.
And then, of course, in Bridgeport, the Archive. So go out and check those places out and check Halloween Dungeon out as well. But secondly, I want to bring up Ryan. This is the first time you've ever heard him on the show, but Ryan is a podcaster himself. So Ryan, why don't you tell everybody all about your show, any socials you want to give out, anything coming up that you want to talk about? The floor is yours.
I appreciate it. I'm the host of the All You Need Is Blood podcast. We are the official podcast of upcominghorrormovies.com. We're a horror-centric podcast, mostly because that's what myself and my co-hosts are into, but we will literally talk about anything. Heavy metal, comics, books, like whatever we feel like talking about sort of gets talked about. We're not very... Oh, I don't know. I used to describe the podcast as a series of burps and farts with a podcast happening in between. And we're not constrained by things like time, how long a podcast needs to be, or, the order of events that should be happening in it. So we're pretty loosey-goosey. We don't record very often, not as often as I'd like to. My one co-host, Shane, is in the UK. My other co-host, Mike, is in Chicago. So finding a day when all of us could get together is sometimes difficult, but we make it happen as much as we can. You can find us on pretty much any podcast place that there is. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I don't know. I don't even know what the podcast things are. When I started up with it, I sent out, you sign up for all these things, and then they change the names and change around.
Yeah,
and behind me, you can see a cat battle happening right now.
I did. I saw a cat. I saw a cat. Oh yeah, they're there, right there. Look at that cat battle. As all you need is blood is a great name for a podcast, and I feel so fucking stupid for admitting this, but I've heard your show and I've known of your show for a long time, and it wasn't until yesterday when I was getting all this together to do this episode that I realized that I'm assuming it's a play on it. All you need is love. Like
it is.
Jesus Christ. Like, come on, like use your brain, dude.
John, that's awful, dude.
We all have those things. I'm just willing to admit them. So Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. And
I appreciate it. Thank you for asking me. I've been, love seeing you guys at every horror thing. And I'm really glad to be here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Horror episode. So you know what it is. Favorite kill time, kids.
Officer Hawkins, tell me what happened in here. Tell me what happened. Did Michael kill? Did Michael kill again?
All right. So this is the part of the show, Ryan, where we talk about what our favorite kill in this film was, whether it be something that just struck you a certain way or it was inventive. So why don't you go ahead and give us what you considered to be the best kill in this film?
My favorite kill is the one when I first saw it in theaters, made me laugh out loud inappropriately. And that's the one where the girl is wearing her husband's face and runs out screaming from the motel and just gets absolutely blasted by the semi. Because I liked it because it was like a Texas Chainsaw 2, a little nod to Texas 2, but also you knew what's coming. Like, it's the most obvious thing. It's a flat shot, and she runs out into the road, and you're like, oh, she's getting squished, and just pow. I don't know. It cracked me up.
She gets missed by a car first, which is the great part about it. The car misses her, and you're like, oh, she made it. Which
is clever. Exactly. Yeah. It's clever, because you're like, oh, okay, everything's safe. Right. But I mean, it's a common trope, but it's clever.
It's like when you shut the door to the refrigerator and no one's behind the door.
Yeah.
But then when they turn around, someone hits them in the head with a sledgehammer. It was that, but with a vehicle.
Right.
All right. Larry gets to go last. I'm just going to go and just say the Wydell kill. Like, he gets his head twisted all the fuck way around by like a 7'9" guy that's in 2 minutes time going to go walk into a burning building. It's pretty badass. He's just about to kill baby, and this guy just lifts him off his feet and then just fucking breaks him in half. It's a pretty good kill. And it's something I remember the first time I saw this not expecting at all. Larry, what's your favorite?
Well, my favorite is the end when all three of them get shot dead, because that's where it should have ended.
There's a sequel, Larry. There's a sequel.
No, there's not.
No, there's not. Okay.
Is there? Is there, though?
All right. There is a sequel, but I understand what you're saying, because it is pretty ridiculous. All right. So we're going to rate it, but we always on these episodes, on the Scary Larry House of Horror episodes, have to ask Larry, what are we rating this based on? What is the scale today, Larry?
Baby's ass.
All right.
Baby's cheeks. Baby's cheeks.
Baby's cheeks.
How many baby's cheeks do you give this episode?
All right, let's do it. Let's rate this fucking thing.
Don't judge me, monkey.
All right, 0 to 5, 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, quarter and half scale optional. What do you give this film in baby's cheeks, Ryan?
So stupid.
Seeing as I love Rob Zombie, Well, okay, I really like Rob Zombie movies. Every movie that comes out, it kind of gets dropped down a notch and a notch. Every movie, my love for him drops a little bit. But I enjoy this one. This is one of his best, and I'd probably go with a solid 4 cheek on this one.
4 cheek.
I really enjoy it, and other people won't enjoy it, and that's fine. But I think this is a good one. I enjoy it.
All right, 4 cheeks from Ryan. Of course, Larry goes last, so I'll go next. I've seen everything Rob Zombie's put out except for the Munsters. No, I haven't. I've never seen the Haunted Record. Which one? What is that called?
What?
You're Lords of Salem.
Lords of Salem.
Oh, might be my favorite Rob Zombie.
Okay, never saw that one. So
it's worth a watch for morbid curiosity.
Okay,
it's a Fulci movie.
Yeah, I mean it's different. It's different. That's for sure. It's different.
All right, I've always been curious about it because I've heard it's like you said, like kind of an interesting watch. This is my favorite of what I've seen him do. I prefer this to The House of a Thousand Corpses. I agree, it's not necessarily a horror film. It's more of a crime thriller. I am perplexed by people that like love like the Otis character. He's the fucking worst. Like, I guess to me, I think there's a point where like, it sounds goofy to say, but like I could almost see getting behind murderers, but rapists is a whole other thing. And he's just he's horrifyingly gross, right? Like if you go out and you buy like the NECA Otis like action figure, like you might want to like talk to your therapist later that day. No judging. This is a no judgment zone. Go talk to your therapist right the fuck now. In 2005, when I saw this, I was 30 years old, I think. I kind of equate this to some of the movies that I liked when I was younger. Like I used to love A Clockwork Orange, and I still think it's a great movie, but my love for it I still think it's a really watchable, great movie, but it makes me kind of sick. Like it's a hard watch, and there's a lot in this movie that's kind of a hard watch that when I saw this back in 2005, I think I would have rated it higher, but I will give him credit. This is a well-made movie. There's some really good, kills. There's some good dialogue, even though I'm 99.9% sure on the House of 1,000 Corpses episode, we kind of talked about how Rob Zombie like really tries hard to be Quentin Tarantino with his dialogue sometimes. And a lot of it is in this movie, but you know what? I'll give him credit. Like if you're going to ape someone, ape one of the best. And, and Tarantino is kind of modern day, a classic. So I'm going to give this a 3.5. I'm going to give it a 3.5. Some of the things hold me back a little bit. Some of the just pure meanness, just the idea, like Larry hit it on the head. There's nobody to root for in this movie. Like Banjo and Sullivan are the only people you want to see get out alive. And it is so fucking clear. Not one of them is going to get out alive. Like even if like the girl ran away with her husband's face mask on and didn't get hit by an 18-wheeler, she's in a mental institution for the rest of her life. It's over. So it's one of those things. All right, Scary Larry, the shows are named after you.
Yeah.
You've alluded multiple times that you're not a fan, but I want to hear it in a baby's cheek scale rating now.
I wish I remember what I gave House of a Thousand Corpses.
You were high. I think you were like, I'm gonna say I think you were like 3.5 to 4. You were in the high range because I think I was like 2.75.
I would think I was probably around 3.5. That seems about right for House. And Ryan, if you didn't listen to the episode, my thing with House is, I know it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff. But for me, it's a really interesting, fun movie up until they get to the graveyard and the Dr. Satan stuff happens, because it just takes a hard left into what the fucksville at that point. It almost seemed like he had an hour and 10-minute movie and had nothing he couldn't think of. It was just like, oh, well, maybe I'll shoehorn this Dr. Satan guy living underground. Like, it just didn't make sense. But until that part, I was like, this is a decent fucking Chainsaw Massacre ripoff. The characters were interesting. I still believe after this watch, I think that the House of a Thousand Corpses Otis is scarier than this Otis. That House of a Thousand Corpses Otis, without the beard, with the very pale skin and the red albino type, he was horror movie scary. He was like supernatural scary. Whereas this Otis is basically just Portrait of a Serial Killer scary. Like, this guy's fucking dangerous. This guy's unhinged. This guy doesn't care about anybody but himself. He's a rapist. He's a fucking, real piece of shit. The other one was like, is this guy an alien? Like, he was just, and to me, he was scarier in that movie. This movie is a completely different tone, obviously, than the first movie. The first movie is a horror movie. This is like a torture porn road movie. Like, fucking, I don't know, Hostel meets fucking Bonnie and Clyde or something.
Bob Hope and Bing Crosby go a raping.
Basically. It's got its good, like I said, the opening is fantastic. The closing is fantastic. It has great moments, this movie. Like I said before, dude, the scene with PJ Souls and Sid Haig may be my favorite thing that Rob Zombie's ever filmed. Just that one scene. I think that was, and a lot of it has to do with Sid Haig, right? Sid Haig, like Ryan said earlier.
Yeah, it's so good.
And especially when you've met him, because he's such a gentle sweetheart of a man to play this. No, same with Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
Bill Moseley's the sweetest fucking guy. Goddamn Yale graduate. Fucking basically a genius, right? You have to be pretty goddamn smart to go to Yale.
Yeah.
And, he just knocks these roles out of the park. He just, Sid Haig, great in this movie. God rest his soul. Bill Moseley, great in this movie. Leslie, a fantastic job taking over for Karen Black. Sherry Moon, just a master. Listen, she is an absolute master at taking you out of a scene. Like, once you're like, Otis is talking and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm getting involved in this movie. Then she talks and you're like, boop, right out, back out, fucking scene over, fucking. And then the whole mess of the Groucho Marx scene, it's just shit that doesn't need. I don't know. This movie's messy, and it's so unfortunate because, like I said, there are moments where, like, the rape stuff is very uncomfortable, but it's also really well done. The tension is really high in that scene, and it's shot well and it's acted well. Fucking Terry from Three's Company knocks it out of the park, dude. She's fucking great in that scene. Like, it's really well done. It's unfortunate to me that this movie is so scattered and so uneven. Because I feel like it could have been a really good movie, but it's just so uneven. Go ahead.
I got a question, Ryan. Before Larry rates this, are you gonna? I just want to ask. I've never done this before. Do you think he's gonna be above a 2 on this?
Okay, so I don't know. I'd have to think more about Larry's thought process.
For everything he's saying right now, I think he's under a 2. I think he's at a 2 or below.
It would sound like it, but when I know what movies are 2s and like the trash I've watched over the years, I know Larry's seen some of it. I know he's showed it.
I've shown some of it.
So, if I had to give my prediction, I'd say he's going to be at a 2.
Okay. All right. Now, don't let that influence you, Larry.
It doesn't. I already had my score.
All right. What is your score on the scale of baby's ass cheeks?
On the scale of baby's ass cheeks, because of the scenes that the scenes that I like a lot.
Right.
I think there's a lot of really good stuff in this movie. And I'm a guy who can overlook some crap. I love Lady Terminator. Me and Ryan both love Lady Terminator.
You know it.
Jesus.
I love Rubber. I can overlook some craziness. I can overlook Groucho Marx conversations. I guess.
I'm gonna guess your score.
Go ahead.
I think you're gonna hit a 2.25.
I'm gonna hit a 2.5.
2.5. Okay.
I'm gonna hit a straight. I'm gonna hit a straight middle.
Okay.
Because
right in the middle.
Because even though I don't like the movie as a whole, like I said, the scenes that are good, I think, are very good. And as a musician, Rob kills it. Where he kills it with the song choices. It perfectly captures the moments. It perfectly captures the time of the 70s. And that, as a musician, music moves me. So, yeah, I think that's a big part of it too. Like I said, I think what Rob gets right in this movie, he gets really right. And, but what he gets wrong, he gets really wrong. But I think the high points overweigh and will put me at a half. So 2.5 baby's cheeks.
All right. So you heard it here. Don't forget October 19th at the Strand in Seymour, Connecticut, ConnecticutCultClassics.com. If you're around, if you already have tickets, come by and say hi. If not, then watch it at home.
Get them quick because there's only like 25 left.
Yeah. Jump on it. So this has been The Pint. You can find us on all of those podcatchers that Ryan was trying to remember what they are. I do the same thing. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. I think Stitcher's there. Right. Yeah. You can do that. We have a Patreon. Go to go to Patreon/The Pint. We try to put out 2 episodes every single month. This month being All Horror October. One of them for sure. Larry, do you even remember that we recorded the Amityville Horror in July?
We did?
You did. And I never put it out. I was going to put it out and then I decided to save it. So that'll be out this month if it's not out.
Did I like it? Did we do the Ryan Reynolds one?
No, we did the James Brolin one. We did the original.
I hope so. I was just kidding.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you don't remember us doing it, so I don't know if you remember which one it was. Yeah, but yeah. So that episode, we try to get 2 extra episodes out every single month for $2.50. So if you want to jump on that.
Did we do a paging Mr. Herman reference? I really hope so.
That was like 4 months ago, but I would say we probably did.
Okay.
I don't think you could talk about James Brolin without mentioning Barbara Streisand, Josh Brolin, Hotel, and paging Mr. Herman. I think we covered them all. Oh, no. You know what we covered? I'm just going to spoil it. We covered, not spoil it because it's a known thing. We covered the fact that when Roger Moore stopped being Bond, that he was very close to becoming Bond, and he was going to be he was the first possible American that they were actually going to hire. And then
he would have been good. Yeah.
Just, I guess if he had to do the accent, depends on his accent ability, but
keep the beard. Got to keep the beard.
Keep the beard.
Is he still alive? No, he's not still alive.
Still alive. Yeah.
He is?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Absolutely.
Right. Good for him.
So see you at the Strand on October 19th. Keep listening to The Pint all month long for horror stuff. And don't forget, on October 31st, on Halloween Day, we will be releasing our next Scary Larry's House of Horrors Halloween special, all about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, which Stu gave a 1 or a 0, whatever it was. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that in that episode.
A -2.
See ya.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
We are leaving!